subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
With the outbreak of Akainu, Akainu's arm becomes a giant lava fist made of lava. The explosive force of the simulated volcano was launched directly towards Sunuo on both sides. Sensing the huge heat rising from the rear, Sunuo on both sides smiled slightly and fell down a mountain like a bird. He directly avoided the huge lava fist behind him, and the lava fist also directly turned the stone seat into lava cinders. Don't try to escape. Seeing Sunuo on both sides falling down the mountain and trying to escape, Akainu's giant lava fist burst open. It directly turned into countless volcanic bombs and fell in the direction of the two-faced Sunuo. It's like the rain of fire from a volcanic eruption. Watch the volcanic bombs that follow from above. Two-faced Sunuo couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. Marine Monster Vice, Admiral Akainu. Then just play with me. He grabbed the cliff next to him with his hand, and the force of his descent began to slow down. But the volcanic bomb above is also coming. The Son of the Wind starts. Two-faced Sunuo began to move upwards and retrograde like the wind. Feet on the cliff as if on the ground. At the same time, he quickly avoided the oncoming volcanic bombs, running quickly towards Akainu on the mountain. And Akainu, after the eruption of the volcanic bomb, also came to the edge of the cliff to watch. Immediately caught the figure of Sunuo on both sides going retrograde. This speed. Look at the speed displayed by Sunuo on both sides. Akainu couldn't help being surprised too. This speed has completely surpassed him. But just speed. Akainu is the ability user of lava fruit. His magma has the characteristics of burning high temperature, and the black smoke, when releasing a large amount of magma, will disturb the enemy to a certain extent. These are the basic properties of lava fruit's abilities. And Akainu can also erupt and attack through volcano simulation. This kind of attack is accompanied by super high speed in addition to the super high power burst. Although the two-faced Sunuo in front of him is fast, he can't escape his attack at short distance. Akainu prepares great eruption again. It's just that the preparations were hasty this time, and the two-faced Sunuo had already come behind him one step faster than him. Go down and turn around. I saw Sunuo on both sides kicking toward Akainu, and Akainu could only interrupt his moves after losing the opportunity. Put your hand up and use armament hockey to block the kick. It's just that this kick has a turning force, and at the same time, it is under the blessing of speed. Cause Akainu to be knocked back and fall towards a cliff. Chapter 52, Underestimating People, also has a limit, the field of movement after falling off a cliff. Akainu originally wanted to use Moonwalk to go up the mountain again. It's just that it perceives a strong threat from above. He gave up. One fell from the sky toward Akainu, and Akainu also turned to continue the move. Great eruption. A huge magma fist spewed toward Sunuo on both sides from bottom to top. On the other hand, the two-faced Sunuo entangled a huge amount of Conqueror's hockey and rushed towards the huge lava fist. Boom! The impact of the two sides stalemate for a moment. Huge shock waves overflowed towards the surrounding area, and strong winds blew up. One side of the cliff of the mountain was directly knocked down a large piece of rock, immediately under gravity and interaction forces. Akainu shot towards the bottom of the cliff at a faster speed, and his huge lava fist also collapsed. It was as if it was raining lava from the sky. The two-faced Sunuo is slowly falling in the air with a rising force and using the technique of physical paper arts at the same time. It's really spectacular. The fireworks are really good. Looking at the scene like a rain of fire below, the two-faced Sunuo couldn't help grinning. And when he was slowly falling, boom! There was a deafening sound from the bottom of the mountain. After a while, Akainu stood up from the ground. This kind of impact is naturally no threat to him in Logia. It's just that Akainu is a little dignified at this time. He looked at the two-faced Sunuo slowly falling in the sky. In the confrontation just now, he is passive. From here, Akainu can feel the opponent's control over the details of the battle. And powerful combat power, speed, power, and that very tough conqueror's hockey rap. By this time, he had begun to get fully serious. No matter what, he will never lose this battle. The coast. On the warship, Ganaha was standing on the highest point of the warship at this time, using binoculars to watch the battle in the distance. After seeing Sakazuki Vice Admiral kicked off the bottom of the hill, his heart couldn't help but lift up. It's a big pirate who can confront Sengoku Admiral. It's scary. At this moment, he couldn't help but struggle in his heart. Do you want to report naval headquarters now? After thinking about it, we'll be looking at it eventually. Although I'm usually a little afraid of Sakazuki Vice Admiral's style. But his strength is also fully revealed. Its monster-like strength is by no means exaggerated. Countless big pirates were defeated by a Sakazuki Vice Admiral. So while Ganaha is afraid of Akainu, he also admires his strength very much. Dark Hound. At this time, Akainu quickly extended his lava-like arms to attack the falling two-faced Sunua. And the two-faced Sunu also escaped in time with the help of the Son of the Wind. Look at Akainu, who is close in front of you. Two-faced Sunua reached out and grabbed Akainu's head directly. There must be a limit to underestimating people. Akainu looked at Sunua on both sides and was also furious. The other hand also uses Dark Hound. Pum! Two-faced Sunua's palm directly collided with Akainu's Dark Hound. The ground directly set off a shockwave. Even if the arms of Sunua on both sides are added armament hockey. However, it is constantly softening under the high temperature, making the blood in the hand seem to be evaporating. It's amazing. This kind of temperature can be used to boil water very quickly, right? Hearing the man in front of him speak outrageous words with an evil smile on his face, Akainu started to calm down instead. He wants to use the most powerful posture to defeat this underestimated guy. Magma began to flow to the surrounding area. The air began to heat up continuously. It looks as if it is distorting and deforming. The entire site began to fill with magma. This made the two-faced know nowhere to settle. He jumped up and jumped onto a boulder, looking at the surrounding ground, shining red light. The forest also began to burn, and thick smoke began to rise. Looking at the surrounding scene, Ryomen Sukuna praised. Logia is just amazing. What a sea of lava. Come on, I can't wait. A day later, on the warships on the coast, Ganaha looked at the area in the center of the island that was constantly emitting magma and couldn't help breaking out in a cold sweat. Those two are monsters. The two men had been fighting for a day and a night. Thanks to lava from Sakazuki Vice Admiral, the range of more than 1 kilometer in the center of the island's mountain peak is already covered with lava. Together with the entire mountain peak, it seemed to have been baptized by magma, and it was also broken a lot. It looks like the place where the volcano just erupted. Very spectacular. During this period of time, there was a stalemate between Sakazuki Vice Admiral and the two-faced Sunua, the King of Fear. There are also several pirate ships that have approached the periphery of the island. Many of them are the pirates of the great pirates of the New World who are looking for information nearby. At this time, the news of the confrontation between the King of Terror and the marine monster Vice Admiral Akainu on this island also spread with the phone bug. Naturally, Ganaha also reported the news here to naval headquarters. Sure enough, there was a curse. Although Marshal Sora ordered him to let Sakazuki Vice Admiral stop fighting and retreat. But the problem is that Ganaha can't get close to the battlefield at all. The lava all over the ground was impossible to get off. And the forest inside is burning too. Thick smoke rose everywhere. After a day and a night, almost 3/4 of the forest was burned. After some time, the vegetation inside will be burned clean. Some animals in the forest also suffered unreasonable disasters and died heroically in the battlefield under the peak of the island. Sunua looked at Akainu, who was panting in front of him. Feeling some negative emotions around you replenishes your physical strength. He couldn't help laughing. Then, take my move next. Field expansion, Chef of Fumo, with the two-faced Sunua opening the field. The surrounding scene also changed accordingly. Akainu frowned, looking at the strange scene around him. immediately began to withdraw to the outside. The ability to double-face Su Nuo in intelligence has the power to hurt Logia, and the launch speed is extremely fast. It is difficult to dodge. So Akainu doesn't want to confront him head-on here. Watch Akainu try to run out of the field. Two-faced Su Nuo also smiled strangely and ran after Akainu. I saw that the field moved with the two-faced Su Nuo as the center. Can this space move? At this time, Akainu was a little surprised. There is no such thing as intelligence. Chapter 53, you will regret it Nuo on both sides. While Akainu was surprised, the slashing in the field of Nuo on both sides also followed. Akainu's knowledge senses danger. However, it cannot be avoided. The speed is too fast. Tick, a scar appeared on Akainu's chest. Blood started dripping on the ground. Then the burnt red ground evaporates directly. Akainu's face turned black, and the injury on his body was a little serious. And while counteracting that weird attack, the armament haki on him is also being consumed violently. At the same time, maintaining the Logia defense mechanism also requires more physical strength. The most important thing is that there is no way to dodge that kind of attack. Now his physical strength has been consumed by more than half in the previous battle. If you stay here all the time, it won't be long before he is defeated. Why is this space able to move? This guy didn't show it before. That is to say, did this guy hide his clumsiness before? I kind of thought so, but misunderstood. It was true that the two-faced Su Nuo could not move the field before. At the beginning, I didn't know enough about Fumo Yuchuzi. With the understanding, he gradually began to be able to perform ordinary slashes without opening the field, and the time spent on this island. He wasn't in a daze all the time. He also has a better understanding of Fumo Yuchuzi's control. It can be done to the point of following itself. This exchange comes from the one-step ability to achieve this level in a short period of time. Already very good. Ability needs to be explored in order to control more applications. This is also what Mel hopes that the clones can do. If you only care about fighting frequently, but in the end you can't even understand your own strength clearly, that would be a pity. Marine, are you about to lose your grip? Akainu watched the other party start a taunt and was not to be outdone. Oomph. Two-faced Su Nuo, do you think you're sure to win? I want to see how long you can last. He doesn't believe that the ability of the two-faced Su Nuo is not consumed much. Most of the surrounding area is now a magma zone. How long can this guy last even with armament haki? Now his haki should have bottomed out a long time ago. There are also thick smoke and high temperature environment emitted by the surrounding magma. The thick smoke makes normal people feel uncomfortable and suffocating after just inhaling it for a short while. And even if there is high temperature, the water in Haki's body will continue to evaporate. Two-faced Su Nuo stayed beside him for so long. Akainu couldn't believe that he was really all right, since his domain needs to envelop him for it to work. Then you need to get close to him. If you can't run away, then come and compare who will fall first. Great eruption. The endless magma seems to be gushing. The slashing ability of the two-faced Su Nuo is too terrifying. Akainu can't promise how long it will last, so he wants to overload his abilities and explode. Use endless magma in a short time to distract the opponent's attention. Realize the exchange of attack and defense. This super-scale outbreak is extremely depleting of physical strength. But for now, that's all he can do. After half a sound, then the final eruption, the deafening fighting sound subsided. Battle center. Akainu fell onto a red rock. There are many tearing wounds throughout the body. Blood also leaked from the wound. It's just that it condenses quickly under the surrounding high temperature. In front of him is the figure of Su Nuo with two faces. At this time, Su Nuo on both sides looked at the man lying on the ground and smiled evilly. Ha ha ha, Marine, you succeeded in pleasing me. He heard the standing figure say so. Akainu, whose consciousness was a little fuzzy, began to congeal. Then, as a reward, I will reward you with your life. What a joke. Feeling that figure gradually drifting away, he struggled to stand up. However, the injury was already too serious, and it was fruitless for a long time. The humiliation of being spared by pirates filled Akainu's heart. At this moment, Akainu's anger seemed to reach its peak. You will regret this. Knew on both sides. One day, he will definitely bury him with his own magma. Make him regret what he did today. Such thoughts circled in my mind. Eventually, Akainu's consciousness fell into final darkness. The other side watches the deafening fighting sounds on the other side of the island start to stop. It seems that the endless magma no longer erupts. Gana's heart also lifted. Is the fight over? Who won it this time? He continued to check with the binoculars. But the magma and the black smoke from the ruins of the forest blocked a lot of sight with his continuous exploration. Finally, he saw a figure walking towards him. That is, the King of Fear has two faces. So, did Sakazuki Vice Admiral lose? How could he lose? Looking at that figure, Ganaha despaired. It's just that after being depressed for a while, I tried my best to cheer myself up. Now is not the time for him to be depressed. The most important thing now is to confirm the status of Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Although the King of Fear has two sides of Su Nua's ruthlessness, Sakazuki Vice Admiral has most likely died in the line of duty. But what if? Watching the two-faced Su Nua approaching step by step, Kana also made up his mind. He started to call the Naval Headquarters phone bug to report the battle situation here. Immediately began to wait for the arrival of the two-faced Nua. Their ships are too close now. Two-faced Su Nua is also very close. At this time, if you want to run, you may be caught up. It has been confirmed in Marine's intelligence that the two-faced Su Nua will use moonwalk. It would be counterproductive to be caught up at that time. After all, the two-faced Su Nua is most likely coming for their warship. Thinking of the rumors about the two-faced Nua, Ganaha couldn't help feeling nervous. When tense on the Ganaha side, other pirate ships that searched for news from afar at sea also found the figure of Su Nua on both sides. Has the King of Fear, double-faced Su Nua, won? It really is a monster. This time, he defeated the marine monster forcefully, said the captain of a pirate ship. I just don't know if that monster marine is dead or not. If it's not dead, this time is a good opportunity. Chapter 54, the water here is too deep. Sacrifice and live Marine Akainu is active in New World, but killed a lot of pirates. For this marine, who kills more than arrests. Many pirates in New World are very afraid, but his strength is very powerful, or like a monster. Like nature's moving volcano, walk the scourge of the New World. This makes many big pirates fearful of Akainu. But now, this monster Vice Admiral Akainu is defeated. If he is not dead, then now is undoubtedly his weakest time. If only he could be terminated here. Marine will undoubtedly break his arm. In the eyes of many big pirates, Marine's three monsters, Vice Admiral, are almost the default admiral of the next generation. If there's a chance to weaken it, naturally it will not be polite. Captain Fury, we still don't want to do this. This kind of thing is best left to other pirates. I saw a tall but thin pirate next to Captain Fury said, Phil, do you have any opinion? If we can kill the Marine's monster Vice Admiral Akainu, our pirate group will become famous all over the world. Hearing his own captain's words, Phil couldn't help complaining. It will be famous all over the world, but there is no one above us. Killing Marine's heavyweight, our pirate group, may be very sad at that time. It's different from other pirate groups where someone came over to check the information. Phil's pirate group is the independent pirate group. This time they came here because they came here to join in the fun. The captain of their pirate team also offered a reward of 280 million Baileys, and Phil's own deputy also had 180 million Baileys. But this kind of strength is in the absence of a background. It would be easy to dig your own grave for doing something like killing Akainu. Ha ha ha. Phil, you may be right, but that Marine Akainu doesn't know the situation yet. Is it too early for us to discuss here? Didn't you say it first? Seeing his captain's carefree look, Phil couldn't help but sigh. He was afraid that his captain would not know the importance, so he quickly dismissed his thoughts. The water here is too deep. It's not something these little shrimps can swim. The coast. Ganaha looked at the two-faced Su Nua, who came to the warship. He also mustered up the courage to say, Two-faced Su Nua, the King of Fear, what have you done to our Sakazuki Vice Admiral? Looking at Marine in front of him, The two-faced Tsunua raised the corners of his mouth. But he didn't answer. Instead, he jumped onto the warship. It's like returning to your own ship. I have requisitioned this ship, and anyone who wants to survive is obedient. Those who want to die can stand up directly. An Azura-like aura enveloped the ship. All the Marines on this warship just feel a little out of breath, obviously being guarded by all the Marines on the warship. But everyone dared not act rashly. They who have been following Akainu all too well understand the horror of this strong power, especially when the opponent also defeated their Sakazuki Vice Admiral. It doesn't matter if they go together. It's just worthless death. It's just a Marine led by Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Naturally, they were not the ones to surrender directly after being frightened by the two-faced Tsunua, even Marine who is a little afraid of death. When the general above did not speak, he did not dare to speak easily. The atmosphere was a little silent and oppressive at this moment. So, do you all want to die? Seeing that Tsunua was about to raise his hand on both sides, Ganaha quickly stood up. Wait a minute. Would you please tell us about the situation of Sakazuki Vice Admiral first? Saw Kana, Commodore groveling at a pirate. Some of the more paranoid Marines were a little angry, but he held back under Ganaha's glaring gaze. Now Kanaha needs to confirm the situation of Sakazuki Vice Admiral. If only Sakazuki Vice Admiral wasn't dead, then the fleet of these several Marine warships is very important. They will serve as weapons to protect the safety of Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Now the pirates around the island are the targets they need to guard against. You can't just fight to the death with the terrifying big pirate in front of you without knowing why. If Sakazuki Vice Admiral dies, well, there is nothing to say. You can only fight to the death, and the others can escape if they can. Maybe some Marines can surrender, but there are obviously more Marines who hate pirates in the team below Akainu. Under the influence of Akainu, most people don't just surrender. Tsunua on both sides looked at Ganaha, who stood up in front of him. He also grinned and put down his hand. Interesting, that Marine isn't dead yet. I heard Tsunua's reply on both sides. Ganaha was ecstatic. Time passed slowly. The final result was that he gave up the warship and the necessary manpower on it to the two-faced Tsunua. Looking at the warship going away, Ganaha couldn't help but take a deep breath. Marine takes orders from pirates. If Sakazuki Vice Admiral knows about this, they will all be melted. But now is the time to make a choice, to sacrifice for justice, or to live for the power to uphold justice. Whether the decision now is wrong or right, he is not very clear. Ganaha can only say sorry to Marine on that warship. Attention all Marines. Wait for the magma to cool down and quickly rescue Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Don't let those pirates get close to Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Yes, on the warship that is drifting away. As if there was no one around, Liang Tsunua jumped onto the sail trunk and looked down at the endless sea in the distance. The physical strength in his body is also continuously recovering. This is thanks to the steady flow of negativity on board the ship. That Marine's combat power and tactics do have merit. It also consumes a lot of Tsunua on both sides. There are also many injuries. In the surroundings, it seems to be in the magma world. The armament haki of the two-faced Tsunua has long been used up. It's just that while fighting, transforming physical strength into haki. With extreme balance, he can also do this kind of operation. It's just a serious physical exertion. Healing injuries, transforming haki, using stamina consumes a lot. It's just that the negative emotions nearby also continue to support it. Although the amount is small, it is still very good for restoring physical strength. What kind of interesting opponents will there be next time? Leaning on Fangon, Tsunua grinned slightly at the corner of his mouth, thinking leisurely. Chapter 55, The Bounty of Two-Faced Tsunua. Jealousy makes people unrecognizable the next day. There is new shocking news flying around the world with the newsbird. The great pirate king of fear, Two-Faced Nua vs. Marine Monster Vice Admiral Akainu. The winner has been decided. Two-Faced Tsunua and Akainu fought in New World for a day and a night. How could the World Economic Newspaper let go of this kind of news? Perhaps the reporters of the World Economic News in some places can't take care of it. After all, the world is so big, and it is impossible to be present for every major event. But the key is that World Economic News is willing to spend money, or that Morgan's is willing to spend money. As long as it is enough explosive news, only certain photos and certain authenticity are required. Then you could get a lot of money. Few can resist this temptation, especially when there are too many people on the pirate side. So it stands to reason. The news of the duel between Su Nuo and Akainu spread to all over the world, along with the newspapers of World Economic News. People didn't expect to be happy for Marine to arrest two big pirates just 2 days ago. 2 days later, new news came. Marine Akainu was defeated. After the defeat, the enemy swaggered and snatched a warship. The scene of the battle between the two sides was also printed in the newspaper. A battlefield like a lava volcano. Let people have a closer understanding of the marine monster Vice Admiral Akainu. Is this kind of natural disaster marine really still human? At the same time, he is even more afraid of the two-faced Su Nuo, the king of fear who can defeat Vice Admiral Akainu. New World, Cake Island of all nations. In a pink castle, Charlotte Linlin couldn't help laughing as she looked at the reward order in her hand. Mama, is this man not bad? Has the bounty increased to 2.8 billion after defeating that magma boy in Akainu? She slapped the newspaper on the table. His face began to darken. Akainu was defeated, she had known since yesterday. After all, the pirate ship that went to investigate included the pirate group that joined her. After Su Nuo left on both sides, a new fight even broke out there. Fight against Akainu's marine, which is guarded by multiple pirate groups. In the end, it was Akainu who woke up to end the farce. Of course, none of this matters. For Charlotte Linlin, the man's flight path was clearly heading towards her territory. She didn't think this guy came to her place for tourism. The ant casually swallowed the dancing cake on the table in one gulp. The cake screamed eerily, then came to a screeching halt. Even she has to pay attention to a man who can defeat Akainu. If it is said that the previous duel with Admiral Sengoku, there are various fluke reasons, such as Sengoku may release water. So now Akainu's defeat is the real record of the two-faced Su Nuo. And how strong is Akainu? Many of the great pirates of the New World know a thing or two. After all, this marine visits New World from time to time. Come if you want. She is not vegetarian. When the time comes to defeat, just subdue him. Ant put aside distracting thoughts and started to concentrate on eating cakes. Katakuri in the corner looked worried at the reward. He made up his mind to let the weak brothers and sisters hide first when that man arrives. That guy's ability is too dangerous. It is really easy to suffer heavy casualties. As for his mother, he is not worried. Mom's steel balloon was not blown. It is not so easy to hurt his mother. Calm belt. Amazon Lily. Mel looked at Su Nuo on both sides and nodded at the new reward order. The movement of the two-faced Su Nuo should be able to gain him a lot of reputation points. But he didn't pay too much attention to the two-faced Su Nuo. Next, if Liang Mianson Nuo wants to go to Cake Island, it will take a lot of time. Speaking of which, he also had the talent of Big Mom's steel balloon before. I have to say that this talent is indeed very powerful. Mel picked up the coffee on the table in front of him and took a sip. Then he turned his attention to Hisoka's panel. The last incident about Hisoka's arrest has almost fermented, although arrested. However, due to the gap, there are still a lot of reputation points. After all, the arrest of those who dare to plunder the gold in the sky is considered a hot spot. So Hisoka's reputation has risen to 360,000. He directly spent 100,000 reputation points to raise Hisoka's stalker from B level to A level. Hisoka used the flexible love as a medium to use the explosion effect of the stalker. The power is really good. Although Moria's current armed color is relatively cool, it is only B level. But his current physique is still in the range of A. It is possible to directly blow up these two combined Moria at one time. Not bad. Although the explosion is not the main purpose of the stalker, it will be even more powerful when it is upgraded to a level. It is still a good choice for Ean people. Watch the remaining reputation points. Mel raised strength, constitution, and agility from B+ to A. It cost 150,000. Then it took 100,000 to raise the spirit A to A+. That's about as much as it takes. After all, Hisoka's plan needs a little strength. If you can improve some strength, you can improve some. After fixing Hisoka's attributes, Mel stood up, left the room, and went outside. Elder brother, Perona, who was being teased by Hancock and the others, saw Mel come out. Immediately ran over, opened his hands towards Mel. And Mel also smiled slightly and picked her up, although it's only 2 days here. But Perona felt happier. No more gloomy environment, no more cold zombies. And there is this person in front of her who treats her tenderly. Makes little Perona addicted here very quickly, due to being in an unfamiliar environment. Mel is the most familiar with her. In this case, Perona soon becomes unusually close to Mel. As long as Mel is around, stick to him. Watching little Perona being picked up by brother Mel directly. This caused Hancock next to him to have inexplicable emotions in his heart. Is this jealousy? Hancock thought to himself. In his spare time, Mel would tell them about the outside world and sometimes tell some fairy tales. So Hancock has a clearer understanding of some emotions. Like this case. In Hancock's mind, it is a bit like the queen in Snow White that Mel's brother said. Thinking of this, Hancock was a little distressed. Jealousy changes people beyond recognition, which is what Mel said before. Hancock kept that in mind. She doesn't want to be jealous. Otherwise, it would be bad if she becomes uncute and gets rejected by brother Mel. But I can't help it. What annoyance. Chapter 56, Uncle. You are serious 2 days later. The transport ship escorting Hisoka and Gecko Moria reached Impelled Down on the current to Impel. Emperor, the #1 prison in the world. It is located on the Calm Belt on the first half of the Grand Line and has exceptional security. There are a large number of large sea kings on the sea floor outside the prison. Therefore, Emperor has the title of Bronze Wall and Iron Wall. Currently, Vegapunk has not invented a way to allow marine warships to pass through the Calm Belt. Not even marine, let alone other pirates. In this case, it is not an exaggeration for Impel to be called an Iron Wall with an extremely powerful military equipment. It is safer to enter only through the current. And now, Impel Down has a new prisoner. Kazan Vice Admiral. Welcome to Impel Down Impel. At this time, the port of Impel Down. Magellan, the current deputy director of Impel Down, came to meet Aokiji. Alala, I don't want to come to this kind of place if I can. Deputy Director Magellan. In fact, Aokiji really didn't want to come here. The atmosphere of Impel Down is not good. If the criminals transported this time were not too important, Aokiji would not have followed. Ex-Shichibukai Gecko Moria is okay. But the pirate Hisoka who attacked the gold in the sky. If it escapes during transportation, it will deal a big blow to the face of the world government. So, Aokiji had to come along. Kazan Vice Admiral is transporting important criminals. Former Shichibukai Gecko Moria. Magellan continued curiously. And that vicious pirate Apple Hunter Hisoka who dared to hijack the gold in the sky. With these two characters, it's no wonder that Kazan Vice Admiral will lead the team. Having said this, Magellan's face straightened. Don't worry, Kazan Vice Admiral. Just leave it to us. Aokiji looked at Magellan and gave a casual order. Deputy Director Magellan. Hisoka's ability inside is dangerous. Be careful. Magellan nodded at Aokiji's words. No problem. I'm here to ensure everything is safe. And this is an Impel Down with impregnable walls. It's almost impossible to escape from here. See his sworn promise. Aokiji couldn't help complaining in his heart. The Golden Lion has not been gone for long, but Aokiji wasn't really worried. After all, the Golden Lion escaped by cutting off both of his feet. In view of the danger of Hisoka's ability, Aokiji specially gave Hisoka special treatment. In addition to handcuffs and anklets, he even wore one around his neck. Under such circumstances, it is almost impossible for Hisoka to escape. Aokiji chatted with Magellan for a while. Bang! The sound of chains colliding began to be heard. Magellan is also attracted by the sound and stops communicating with Aokiji. He looked towards the location of the sound. I saw a coquettish and sexy man with teardrop and star-shaped makeup painted on his face, and his hair standing up wantonly. He walked out of Marine's prison ship with a calm expression. See this man? Magellan couldn't help but marvel. If he read it correctly, the handcuffs and the handcuffs on the neck are all made by sea stone. In intelligence, Hisoka is capable. With the shackles of these sea stones, he can still walk vigorously. It really is not easy. For this, Hisoka Magellan began to pay attention. Is this the impel down? The view here looks good. Hearing his words, Akiji next to him couldn't help being speechless. The color here is so monotonous, which is not bad. And you're here to go to jail, not on vacation. Hunter Hisoka, your courage is good, but as long as you come here, you can only sink in despair. Looking at the big man in front of him, Hisoka gave a pervert smile slightly. Uncle, can I trouble you not to speak? Your tone is very serious. Hearing Hisoka's words, Magellan's painting style seemed to turn gray. He is only in his 20s. Is he already an uncle in the eyes of the other party? And my breath is not breath, but poisonous gas. It's poisonous gas. At this moment, Magellan couldn't help roaring inwardly. Look where Magellan is in a daze. Akiji couldn't help shaking his head. Would Deputy Director Magellan care about this age issue? Bang! As the sound rang again. This time out came a big man, Gecko Moria. Seeing Gecko Moria Magellan come back to life. He coughed lightly, then said, Kazan Vice Admiral, you have worked hard. Leave it to me. You can return now. Hearing Magellan's words, Akiji nodded. The Magellan in front of him did have a breath, but it was poison gas. Although this amount of poisonous gas, Akiji does not take it seriously. But staying with him for a long time is uncomfortable after all, so he started to evacuate after the mission was completed. At the last moment of boarding the warship and leaving, he took a deep look at Hisoka. And Hisoka also noticed it and waved at him. Those who don't know are okay with how good their relationship is. Looking at Hisoka with a strange smile on his face, Akiji couldn't help thinking, what a strange man. With Akiji's departure, Magellan looked at the departing warship and then set his sights on the two big pirates in front of him. Former Shichibukai Gecko Moria, Apple Hunter Hisoka, welcome to hell. I'm Magellan, Deputy Director here. Next, complete the baptism first, then you will spend the rest of your life here in darkness. Seeing Magellan in front of him speaking seriously, Hisoka couldn't help but smile too. That sounds terrible. What a lawless guy. Is this really a resort? The pirate in front of him felt no negative emotions at all. It's incredible. Magellan was a little surprised. There are many brave, big pirates who come here, but it's still rare to see such a gesture as if you're going to travel. After all, the bigger the pirate, the more he knows the prestige of Impel Down. This is the #1 prison in the world. Looking at another big pirate, Gecko Moria looked a bit lost. Only then did Magellan smile with satisfaction. This is the expression that a normal prisoner should have. Then come with me, criminals. Chapter 57 Sweet Fruit, Escape from Prison. Bang! Hisoka and Moria quickly followed Magellan and his gas-masked men through the gate, then through an iron fence. Soon, they completed the so-called baptism, changed into a prisoner's costume. Bang! Uncle, why don't you show us around? A voice broke the silence. Hearing Hisoka's words, Magellan couldn't help but break his guard. I'm not an uncle. Call me Magellan, and this is not a tourist place, but this is the largest prison in the world. Can't you? What a pity. Watching Hisoka ignore his reply and talk to himself, Magellan was also speechless. As they advanced, it was not long before they reached the elevator. A man in black and a cloak with a knife pinned to his waist leaned against the corner. Magellan, are they the new prisoners? They look good. I saw that man said. I really want to try the feeling after hitting 237 exclamation point. Looking at the man in front of him, Magellan frowned. And the guards next to Magellan also tensed up. That was the deputy warden of the big prison, brutal and bloodthirsty. Fortunately, there was the director to suppress him. Otherwise, there was no guarantee that anything would go wrong. Shiryu, calm down. They are important prisoners. Changnari is very important. I'm very calm. Shiryu took a deep breath and put his hand on the handle of the knife at his waist. finally under Magellan's serious gaze, step by step into the shadows. Seeing the man who left, Shisu couldn't help licking his lips. What a good seedling. Maybe it will bear sweet fruit in the future. Hisoka's mumbling was heard by Magellan. He shook his head. What kind of fruit? I can't even protect myself. I'm still thinking about weird things. He walked on. Take Hisoka and Moria into that elevator, and the jailers followed. Boom! As the iron fence of the elevator door closed, the elevator began to descend downward. I do not know how long it has been. Clack la la! The iron bars of the elevator doors began to rise. They came to the 6th floor of the deep-sea prison, Eternal Hell. Impel top down, starting from the ground floor. Each floor is given the title of Hell. Crimson Hell, Wild Beast Hell, Starvation Hell, Blazing Hell, Freezing Hell, Eternal Hell. Prisoners are usually allocated floors based on their bounty size. Starting from Freezing Hell, it basically imprisoned pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. And Eternal Hell is filled with amazing people who are either death row inmates or life imprisoners. Former Shichibukai, Gecko Moria, Apple Hunter Hisoka. The final destination of the two of them is the Eternal Hell located on the 6th basement floor. Needless to say, Gecko Moria, being able to become a Shichibukai, is naturally eligible to enter Eternal Hell. And Hisoka was the one who attacked the gold in the sky, and also the one who really defeated Moria. If it weren't for his ability, Akiji judged it dangerous. In fact, the world government is more inclined to execute directly. Bang! Magellan followed Magellan out of the elevator with the two of them and some of the jailers. An extremely depressing atmosphere enveloped it, and a strange, dead silence came oncoming, only with the appearance of Magellan. The original silent atmosphere was instantly broken. Sound began to be heard from the cells in the aisle. Ha ha! Magellan is here. Is this a newcomer? Newcomers? Who are the people here this time? That guy is Gecko Moria. He was a Shichibukai when I came in. Is he coming in now? It's so funny. Lol lol. Shichibukai, a lackey of the world government? Is this abandoned? How pathetic. Ha ha ha. Hearing constant discussions in the cell, Magellan was all deaf. Just walked in silence. The jailers followed suit. Moria and Hisoka also followed silently. Among them, Hisoka looked at the surrounding scene and the pirates in the cage with great interest. Moria, on the other hand, was a little annoyed listening to others discussing herself. Only with a final sigh. What can I say here? I wonder how Perona is doing? It's boring. Magellan boy, you're like a log. Can't even talk. Hear this sentence. Magellan finally responded. Shut up. Do you want to taste my venom? Hear him. Some of the prisoners' comments gradually became smaller. After all, Magellan's poison is no joke. If you encounter it, you're looking for guilt. Nobody likes the feeling of constant struggle. Hey, what deeds did that guy do? And how much is the reward? Asked a prisoner in a cell along the passage to a jailer following Magellan. He's obviously referring to Hisoka, who is less visible than Gecko Moria. The jailer who was asked was a little nervous and obediently answered. The pirates imprisoned on this floor are like monsters to them. They dare not neglect at all. This is Pirate Supernova Apple Hunter Hisoka, who offered a bounty of 300 million Baileys. He was arrested by Akiji Vice Admiral for hijacking Heavenly Gold before. I saw that the jailer briefly said Hisoka's information. Plundering the Heavenly Gold? Ha ha ha. Young people nowadays are really brave. They dare to call the attention of the Heavenly Gold. Not bad. Hear the words of the jailer. The pirate in the prison couldn't help laughing. Many other people also heard the jailer's introduction. Can't help but start to look at Hisoka. Compared with the tall Moria next to him, Hisoka's figure is indeed a bit inconspicuous. It's just that after some people looked at Hisoka seriously, I found that this guy seemed to be here to travel, with a weird smile on his face. I'm afraid I don't know the future life. Akiji, I'm going to kill that guy after I go out, and it's thanks to him that I put it in the bottle. Ha ha. Don't say you don't have a future. Even if you really go out, you will only be sent back in if you meet him. BD, you think I'm afraid of him? I'm Milo, the great pirate. The big pirate in Impel Down? That's funny enough. You managed to make me laugh. Are you courting death? As the topic shifted, some people gradually turned into scolding each other. Looking at the lively scene around, Hisoka's smile became more intense. Da-da-da. Footsteps kept passing through the long passage. Finally, Magellan led Hisoka and Moria to two separate cells, one big and one small. Squeak, as the jailer took out the key and opened the cell door. The heavy prison door followed. Bang! Soon, Hisoka and Moria walked into the two cells. Squeak, with the prison door closed. Magellan looked at the two people inside and said, "Sink here forever. From now on, this place will be your desperate hell." Here, Magellan. Moria's expression was completely unresponsive. Hisoka, on the other hand, pulled the handcuffs on his hands and waved towards Magellan. "Uncle, you are annoying. Looking forward to our next meeting." Looking at Magellan, who broke the defense again outside cell 3.8. Hisoka couldn't help but smiled and licked the corner of his mouth. Poison fruit? What a terrifying ability. But you have to be good at it. Clatter! As Magellan's footsteps faded away, the prison began to slowly fall into silence. Hisoka looked at Moria's gloomy expression beside him and began to speak. "Gecko Moria, what depressed will. Now you are really depraved. You just failed once and fell to the ground. Aren't you a bit cowardly?" Hearing Hisoka's words, Moria seemed to return to her previous state. Apple Hunter Hisoka, you really dare to say it. What qualifications do you have to teach me now? That's right. Then I'll be eligible when I go out. That's what it means. What? Prison break. Gecko Moria. Chapter 58. Real pirates don't fear death. The biggest prison break in history. Hearing Hisoka's words, Moria couldn't believe her ears. He said in a low voice, "Prison break? What do you think this is? I have never heard of anyone being able to escape successfully except Golden Lion." Moria's reaction was not surprising. Since the Golden Lion escaped from prison, the sea stone in the prison has become more and more strict against capable people. Not to mention anything else, Isaiso currently wears sea stone on his hands, feet, and neck. In this case, Moria didn't quite believe the guy's words about the escape. But he had a glimmer of hope after all. Having experienced the battle with Hisoka, he knows how weird this guy is. Seeing Moria questioning, she still couldn't help but look at herself. Hisoka smiled strangely. With his ability, this impel down is like a back garden for him. This kind of restraint using handcuffs was too crude for him. The power of thought he understands through the flexible love can easily pull the structure inside the lock to open these chains. It's just that he won't be so blatant at the moment. On the basic premise that this ability user will be restrained by sea stone, he will not challenge the common sense in the eyes of others. Instead, make some false appearances to confuse the enemy. You'll know when the time comes. Seeing Hisoka's mysterious look, Moria began to become curious, but he didn't ask too much. Instead, wait for the ending. Is it just nonsense, or is it really well thought out? After all, there was a little hope in his heart. Time passed slowly. In this dark, eternal hell, time is the least valuable thing. The deadly and oppressive atmosphere is eroding the soul. No one has to chat easily. Creak. I don't know how long it has been. A voice came slowly. I saw a team of jailers pushing carts. They're here to deliver food. Every time you pass a prison cell, throw some food into it. The portion is not much, just enough to survive. Some house multiple cells with no thorough confinement. The people inside will fight because of this. It sounded a little lively. This is perhaps one of the few entertainments in this eternal hell. The jailers pulling the trolleys trembled a little as they watched the bustling eternal hell. After all the well-known big pirates are detained here, as well as vicious criminals deliberately buried by the world government. There are also quite a few monsters that will conquer his hockey. It is by no means comparable to the previous layers of hell. They don't dare to be presumptuous here at all. And the pirates here did not deliberately make things difficult for these jailers. After all, they are here to deliver food. The aisles were also infested with phone bugs. Every time food is delivered to the prisoners here, the monitoring room will keep a close eye on it. If it is too embarrassing for these jailers, the next time the food will not be distributed. Some kind of tacit rules have been formed in this gloomy hell. Creak. The cart rolled up to Hisoka's cell. The jailer stepped forward and went inside to get some food. Look at the slightly fishy cooked meat. These are the meats of sea kings around Impel Down, and they are obtained locally, which is very convenient. Hisoka couldn't help laughing at this moment. The food here is really bad, but these sea kings' meats are high in calories. It can still be eaten to ensure survival. Hisoka looked at the jailers going away. His eyes flickered slightly. Creak. With the jailer gone, Moria also picked up the meat and ate it. The taste is not very good, some fishy. Time passed slowly. The jailers also started to leave. In a few days, creak, when the jailers came in again with carts to deliver food. Watching the trolley parked in front of his cell, Moria couldn't believe her eyes at this moment. Question mark. That's right. How can it be? Watching the guy handing himself food through the gap in the cage, Moria only felt that her eyes were broken. He looked at Hisoka, who was wearing the previous clothes in front of him. Then he looked at Hisoka, who was silent in the cage next to him. How could there be two identical people? At this moment, Moria lowered her voice and said. At the same time, his eyes were fixed on the other jailers who seemed to be turning a blind eye. What's going on here? How did you run outside? Who's in the next cell? Listen to Moria bombard and ask a lot of questions. Hisoka raised the corners of his mouth and eyes as if squinting. He didn't answer Moria's question directly. Instead, asked rhetorically, Gecko Moria, so are you going to come out? Looking at Hisoka in front of him, staring into his eyes, Moria couldn't help but speak. Nonsense. Who wants to stay here if they can go out? But looking at the sneer at the corner of Hisoka's mouth, Sharia couldn't help frowning. Moria, now what right do you have to go out? Decadence and depression have soaked your will. So, is it really worthwhile for you to enter the sea like this? Hearing Hisoka in front of him say so, Moria was silent for a moment, then laughed angrily. Hey, so, Hisoka, are you here now to laugh at me? He stood up from the ground and glared at Hisoka in front of the cell. Real pirates are not afraid of death. If you want to humiliate me by virtue of the blockade here, then you are 10,000 years too early. I heard Moria in front of me say so. Hisoka licked his lips. A guy who can only say nice things all day long. If you can't shrink back here, then tell me, what have you been doing all these years? Gecko Moria, are you unable to face your heart? Are you afraid of yourself, who has nothing? Hisoka's words seemed to be engraved into Moria's heart with ripples. He couldn't help recalling that unforgettable scene again. Now he has nothing left. Make a deal. Seeing the corners of the man's lips curled up, Moria's dazed expression began to return to her senses. What? I'll let you out. And in exchange, it's up to you to take the head of the Kaido of the beasts. This will be your life's goal. You don't need to say this. I will do the same. Moria's expression began to regain its brilliance. Jingle. Throw the 2 keys into the cage. Looking at the key that appeared in front of her, Moria was a little dazed. Did you let him out so easily? I don't have extra effort to spend with you. If I can't do it, Hisoka narrowed his eyes slightly. Go to hell. Let me take your life. I don't know why you did this, but don't underestimate me. Hisoka, as Moria reached out and picked up the key, Impel Down, the largest prison break in the history of Impel begins. Chapter 59, Monsters of Eternal Hell, Warbang. With Moria out of bondage, opened the prison door and walked out. He looked around. Obviously, there was already such a movement here. The people in other cells and the jailer in front of them seemed to turn a blind eye. Is this Hisoka's illusion ability? It's terrible. Seeing Moria's surprised look, Hisoka seemed to know what he was thinking, said with a slight smile, Of course it's fine if it's just me, but if you're included, those monsters are aware of it. Hearing Hisoka's words, Moria couldn't help but change her face. Then get ready to begin. What? If you want to successfully escape from prison, follow behind. If you run around, you can easily be caught back. Watch Hisoka walking towards somewhere in eternal hell. Moria also said, dissatisfied. Who do you think I am? But he obediently followed behind Hisoka. As they moved forward, they soon came to a dark cell. Have you started? Hisoka. A voice came from the shadows. Yeah, everything is going well. Hisoka took the key and opened the cell inside. releasing the people inside. I saw a tall and thin man with black and gray hair braided into two braids hanging on his shoulders. Moria looked at the man in front of her and felt a great sense of oppression. You are the lone Red Baloric Redfield, a legendary pirate who is rumored to be on equal footing with Roger and Whitebeard alone. Looking at the man in front of her, Moria felt a little stressed. When he was young, he also paid attention to the news of this legendary pirate. Even now, I still have some impressions. This big pirate is a big pirate of the same era as One Piece Roger and Whitebeard. At the same time, he walks alone, but his combat power is extremely powerful. After all, he is a legendary pirate who claims to be on an equal footing with Roger and Whitebeard. No matter how you think about it, it is impossible to be weak. Is it really okay to release such a powerful pirate Hisoka directly? Redfield looked at the tall Moria beside him, shook his head, and did not answer. He turned to Hisoka and said, I didn't expect to be able to gain freedom. According to the agreement, I will participate in this war. Hear the reply of the person in front of him. Hisoka's smile grew stronger. Only Moria next to her was a little confused. Va? What war? Isn't it a jailbreak? Hisoka ignored Moria's question. Instead, he walked towards each cell. One by one, real monsters were unleashed. They not only have pirates from Whitebeard's era, but also pirates from a more distant era. Today, they are not completely decayed. Lonely Red Redfield, Devil's Air Bullet, Scythe of Despair, Gabajuo, Pot King Paula, Bad News Phil Osman. They are either Admiral Combat Power or close to Admiral Combat Power. There is no doubt that they are the pirates standing at the top of this eternal hell, and they are also real monsters. Among them, Paula, the King of the Pot, and Phil Osman, the Bad News, are both pirates from a more distant era. Their age is over 70, but their strong strength allows them to still maintain a good state. Only if Hisoka doesn't come this time. In a few years, they might lose strength or even die. After all, the environment of Impel Down is not built, and this place is not for people to retire. As Hisoka began to release such powerful combat power, soon, he unfreezes a special pirate, World Destroyer Valdo. This guy hadn't communicated with Hisoka because of his frozen state. Woke up a little crazy. After all, although the form of frozen suspended animation is close to 10 years, but his senses were still stuck in the anger of being betrayed. Fortunately, Hisoka reasoned with him, finally reached a harmonious coexistence situation, of course, only limited to this cooperation. Waldo can't help it either, the guy behind Hisoka. A calf. Only Moria is sure to win. The others are all monsters. He didn't want to be beaten all over his head, and judging from the results, he was indeed saved once by Hisoka, so it's okay for him to cooperate once. It's just that he doesn't trust his partners anymore, and if he has the opportunity to fly solo, he must run away. These Hisoka may or may not know, but he doesn't care. In fact, none of these people intend to be Hisoka's partner. They just fulfilled an agreement in exchange for freedom. They don't hate this kind of pure transaction. And Hisoka didn't want any partner. His purpose is also very pure. That is, as the team gathers, the pirates in the cell of eternal hell have begun to realize that something is wrong. Now this point in time is overwhelming. Hisoka did not deliberately maintain the illusion, so it was quickly discovered by these pirates. And Hisoka simply didn't pretend anymore. The pirates who were able to get in and the pirates who were farther away but had observation hockey found Hisoka and his party outside the cell at once. How is it possible? Why did these guys run out suddenly? What ability is this? Is it the ability activated by that guy named Hisoka? That guy's name is Hisoka. He was able to gather these monsters. It's amazing. Haha. Is this going to be a jailbreak? I know all these guys. They're all monsters. Did they all come out? Haralalo. Now that guy Nobegas can't hold back. Let's out quickly. This way we can make a big fuss. Hear what those guys have to say. Hisoka, the leader, smiled, looked at the criminals with burning eyes, and said, I can let you out. It's just that you better not run around. Otherwise, it's easy to die. Ha ha. As long as you let me out, you can say anything. With these monsters, one has to have a hand to escape from prison. That's right. The success rate of jailbreak will increase greatly if you follow you. We are not stupid. That's right. Anyone who dares to object will blow their dog's head off. Hearing Hisoka's words, the entire eternal hell gradually boiled from Hisoka's area. Some clever pirates followed Hisoka's words. Prevent some guy whose IQ is not online from suddenly influencing his decision. As for what happens after you say it, that's up to each other. It's just that now Eternal Hell's top combat power has basically reached a consensus with Hisoka, and they can't afford to turn the tide. Then let's begin. Chapter 60. Magellan fell. Can't repeat the same mistakes following Hisoka's order. The jailers who were pushing the trolley began to distribute the keys. Their faces look normal, but if you really look closely, you will find that they are a little weird. The reason is simple: hypnosis by Hisoka. His magician ability has the function of hypnosis. Now, as his mental attributes are more powerful, he can easily hypnosis many people. Along with special creatures like phone bugs are also in his hypnosis range. Bang! Following chains and chains, the handcuffs were lifted. The pirates of Eternal Hell gathered behind Hisoka and the others. The other side, impelled down surveillance room. The guards watched the phone bug start to show the Eternal Hell criminals starting to escape with a flat expression. One of them dialed a phone bug. "Hello, I'm Magellan. What's the matter?" "Deputy Director, it's not good. There are pirates in Eternal Hell who escaped from prison for some reason." The guard who had a calm face suddenly shouted, which can be called a change of face. Magellan on the other end of the phone bug was taken aback by what the guard said. "What's going on? Who escaped from prison?" "It's Hisoka, the Apple Hunter. He's freeing the criminals of Eternal Hell." Hearing this, Magellan suddenly felt that something was wrong. He didn't expect Hisoka, the Apple Hunter who had just joined Eternal Hell, to escape from prison. Recalling that guy's attitude as if he came here to travel. So, did he premeditate? How on earth did that guy do it? "I see. Have you notified the commissioner?" "Notified. He is on his way. That's it." "Okay. I'll go down immediately to help suppress it." After hanging up on the bug, Magellan's face darkened. That Hisoka guy. Thinking of that guy's smiling face before, Magellan felt a little sick. "No matter what conspiracy you have, I will smash it with my own hands." Crash. Magellan pushed hard. It's finally done. The phone bug with a gas mask next to him couldn't bear it. After a while, Magellan came out of the toilet and headed straight for the elevator. As the elevator descends, not long after, Magellan finally arrived at Eternal Hell. Squeak! As the iron fence was pulled open, a deadly and oppressive atmosphere came oncoming. Magellan walked out. As he walked all the way, his heart also lifted. Because in the cells of Eternal Hell, almost all the prisoners have disappeared. What happened? Sudden, his face changed. I saw Hisoka coming out from corner. Gathering behind him are the criminals of Eternal Hell. How can it be? How did this guy do it? Watch the lawless criminals headed by Hisoka. Magellan feels incredible too. And what about the director? Didn't you say that he has already arrived? Was it knocked down? Look at the passage with no traces around it. Impossible. Did he come first? Why didn't the director take the elevator down? No, or how come the elevator wasn't destroyed? And the alarm didn't go off? What are the guys in the monitoring room doing? Magellan was thinking a lot, but he has no chance of backing down now. He wants to use his own poison to bury all the criminals in front of him. Impossible. Uncle, your ability is too dangerous. Can I ask you to sleep? Are you kidding? Just bury you with my venom. Before Magellan finished speaking, there was a dangerous feeling coming from his body madness. He only saw Hisoka draw a mouth shape in front of him. Boom! The explosions continued, and the black smoke engulfed Magellan. Less time. Magellan in front of him fell to the ground, smoking. So strong. What's up with this guy? At this time, most of the Eternal Hell criminals looked at Hisoka with uncertain expressions on their faces. Just moved his lips, and Magellan in front of him was actually defeated. Anyway, Magellan, as deputy director of the Grand Prison, he still has strength, and his fruit ability is terrifying. Just being infected with his poison will cause you to suffer for a long time and die. It can be said that fighting him is very troublesome. Even if there is armament hockey venom, it will soak into the flesh, very difficult to deal with. However, now it is dealt with lightly by the man named Hisoka in front of him. They couldn't help but hear what Hisoka had heard when he came in. I can't help but sigh with emotion that the man who dared to hijack the gold in the sky is indeed a ruthless man. If it was said that it was because of the monsters behind Hisoka that they followed temporarily. So now they have more recognition of his strength. Those monsters behind Hisoka also became curious about Hisoka's ability. The situation just now. Red Earl, Scythe of Despair, and Bad News can be seen more clearly because their observation haki is very superb. A special power can be seen wrapped around Magellan by Hisoka. Then there will be a sudden explosion on the other side. Others also had some who could see Hisoka move. Because Hisoka's magician ability is not all aimed at them. After all, it is not necessary. So there are quite a few well-informed guys who can see him move over, touch Magellan, and return. How insidious. Moria in the rear looked at Magellan's horror and shuddered. Looking at Hisoka's back, he couldn't help but lament the insidiousness of Hisoka's ability. This move is simply the way to deal with him. But now he saw it again and still didn't understand. It's just that after he is determined to go out, he will work hard to improve armament haki and observation haki. Be able to withstand his explosions and see his actions. Otherwise, this guy will come to trouble him in the future. He has to fall again. Never again. Moria thought silently. Seeing the fallen Magellan, Hisoka was silent for a while. His attack just now seemed to be an understatement, but in fact it was the result of all his efforts. He had been weaving his new clothes when Magellan arrived. After all, it takes time to mark new clothes. In addition, it consumes a lot of energy. Those densely packed marks resulted in a huge amount of consumption, but it's worth it. Magellan is dangerous, and his venom is rogue. If left unchecked, there must be a lot of people down here. Now these guys are all troops for Hisoka. How can it be spent here? Hisoka took one last look at Magellan and licked his lips, hoping he could surprise him a little next time. Then go straight to the elevator. Others followed suit. Chapter 61, Director Nobegas, Pot King Paula Soon, Hisoka, and others took the elevator to the 4th basement floor in batches. And some jailers on various floors also started to act. When Hisoka and the others all came to this floor, Nobegas, the director of the large prison somewhere on this floor, finally noticed something was wrong. Today is his inspection day, but he found something was wrong with some of the guards. There are also some jailers who are actually taking the keys and preparing to release the criminals. Did these guys get their heads picked up by donkeys? After discovering that many jailers looked a little bit wrong, after Nobegas beat them up, they finally sobered up. The information given to Nobegas is that they feel confused these days. Nobegas already felt bad. Go to the elevator immediately and prepare to go to the monitoring room to see what's going on. 197, did you guys break out of prison? At this moment, Nobegas bumped into Hisoka and his party, looking at a large group of prisoners headed by Hisoka. Nobegas' face suddenly darkened. His heart was very shocked. These guys are all criminals from eternal hell, and now they all ran out at once. Also headed by a guy. That man, he read it right, is the new apple hunter Hisoka, the man who dared to hijack the gold in the sky. He was also deeply impressed by this. Thinking about his intelligence, there is another title Phantom, and it is rumored that his ability is Phantom. I contacted the abnormal behavior of the jailer before. That is to say, was the guy in front of me leading this drastic change? Look at the criminals behind Hisoka. Lonely Red Redfield, Devil's Air Bullet. House of Despair Nobegas looked more and more cold. He gritted his teeth. This is bad. With so many monsters breaking out of prison together, it can be called the most vicious event in the history of Impel Down. Even if these guys are not at their peak physical fitness now, but it is by no means that he alone can stop it. Yo, isn't this our director Nobegas? Ha ha ha. Didn't expect that. Didn't you see that our director Nobegas is in trouble? Why don't you perform a lie on the spot? Halaloro, I didn't expect you to have today in Nobegas. There are so many of us. What do you use to stop us? Let's get out of the way. We can't let this guy go. He used to play tricks in front of us a lot. Now that you are alone, you must not fall into our hands. Your Deputy Commissioner Magellan is screwed. you still have to stay with him. Looking at Nobegas, who dared not act rashly in front of him, some criminals behind Hisoka started talking trash to Nobegas. Almost the entire criminal population of Eternal Hell is now behind Hisoka. They feel fearless now. I saw Nobegas and the mouse met the cat before. Seeing Nobegas now is like looking at a tiger in a zoo. No matter how powerful he is, he will fall down today. You guys, drops of clear liquid began to drip from Nobegas, directly corrode the stones on the ground in the holes one by one. Today's Nobegas is angry because he heard the sad news of Magellan from some criminals in front of him. With these heinous criminals, Magellan could have died. At this time, he couldn't help but feel deeply sorry. That is the talent who is going to succeed him as the director and is the focus of attention. Looking at the scene in front of him, some criminals could not help shrinking their heads. Nobegas, Paramecia, sour fruit ability user, has the ability to corrode everything. This guy in front of him is very dangerous. Leave all you guys to me. Don't even think about escaping impelled down. Acid wave, Nobegas showed his power directly, and a huge acid wave like an ocean current crushed all the criminals in front of him. It was washed to the ground, and a layer was directly cut off. Looking at the horrible acid waves in front of you, some pirates' expressions changed, and some were flat-faced. At the last minute, an old man with a bald head and a kind face made a move. He's the king of the pot, Paula. I saw him raise his hand. A huge translucent white jug appeared in midair. Directly roll the current in front of you. All the acid flow went straight into the jug. Block, block. As expected of the king of the pot, it is powerful. At this time, some criminals feel that they have survived the disaster. If it weren't for the king of the pot, these criminals really couldn't escape the acid flow. If it gets wet, I'm afraid it won't be good even with armament hockey. Although these acid streams are not as unsolvable as Magellan's venom. But the weakening of the arm color is also very strong. King of the pot. Looking at the king of the pot in front of him, Nobe's face couldn't help but sink. Pot King Paula, Paramecia pot fruit ability. In a way, the guy in front of him did restrain him somewhat. Old guy who has entered half of the grave. Wouldn't it be nice to end here quietly? It's not your time outside. Heard Nobegas say so. Paula couldn't help laughing. Hey, Nobegas, are you talking about yourself? You're not young now. As for the outside, hey, people are old. There's always some nostalgia. Believe in you to be a ghost. Nobegas couldn't help but snort when he heard the kind-hearted guy in front of him. This guy was pretty cold-blooded before he got into impel down. Has it changed after all these years of being locked up? Anyway, Nobegas didn't believe it. Stop talking nonsense. If you want to escape from prison, then come and pass my level. 3.1 Nobegas didn't believe that these guys would let him go, so he simply started to go all out. Acid Sea explosion after half a sound. Nobegas fell. His ability is indeed very powerful, even awakened. But in addition to ability, the basic attributes in hockey are a bit worse. I also met the king of the pot with some restraint. With the help of the king in the pot, the bad news Philosman and some pirates made a move. Under the Union, Nobegas was quickly settled. Then get ready for the next step. Looking at Nobegas who fell on the ground, Hisoka smiled strangely. Chapter 62, Hisoka's Declaration of War, Kong's horror time flies. Soon, criminals from the entire Eternal Hell came to the kitchen and granary on the 4th basement level. There, the chef starts cooking the food like a machine. At the same time, some dry food reserves were also taken out. Although some criminals are puzzled, but the bosses following Hisoka didn't question it. It's even harder for them to say anything. Anyway, there is nothing wrong with eating enough and having enough energy, and the director and deputy director of the big prison have been knocked down. Even the warden heard that he was dealt with in advance by Hisoka. So, there is nothing to be afraid of. The criminals in Eternal Hell began to feast on the kitchen. It has been too long since they had such a hearty meal, and now they have to eat back the previous portion to replenish their body strength. Seeing these guys eat there, their mouths are full of oil, and they look happy. Hisoka couldn't help showing a strange smile on his face. Eat to your heart's content. If you don't eat it, you won't have many lives to enjoy. He took one last look and walked out of the huge kitchen. After the lonely red Redfield and the king of the pot and other monsters looked at each other. He also joined this 02 feast and ate the feast in silence. They know better what to expect next. So getting your physical fitness back to its peak as soon as possible is the top priority. Clatter. Hisoka walked towards the director's office, and the sound of footsteps knocked on the ground. Soon, he arrived at the director's calendar office. It's just when you go in, a figure leaned against the corner of the wall. Seeing that figure, Hisoka showed a pervert smile. Did you notice it? You guys are making too much noise. It's hard for me not to notice. I saw a figure revealing his face. It was Shiryu, the deputy warden of Impel Down. As the deputy warden, his duties originally included guarding the prisoners, and Shiryu is extremely concerned about the prisoners because of his bloodthirsty. So, do you want to stop? Seeing Hisoka licking his lips, Jianlu showed a bloodthirsty expression. I won't do anything I'm not sure about. Shiryu has seen Nobega's fall, while Warden and Magellan are out of touch. There is no doubt that this group of prisoners has become overwhelming. He then blocked the mantis and undoubtedly blocked the car. Oh, then what are you going to do next? Tell me your plans, Hisoka. Hearing his words, Hisoka frowned. After half a sound, Shiryu took a deep breath, and he took a deep look at the man in front of him. Well, lawless guy, I participated in this war. It's rare to encounter such an interesting thing. Hey. Then you'll become a wandering pirate. Is it really all right? Of course it's okay. I've been suppressed here all the time. It's really hard for me. Today's Shiryu is under the pressure of the director and the warden. His killing desire could not be effectively released. Now that he was young, he immediately decided to join in when he heard such an interesting thing. It doesn't matter if you become a pirate. That's great. Young people should go out and walk around more. Otherwise, the potential of the body will be wasted. Seeing Hisoka staring straight at himself, even Shiryu felt a little nervous. Oof. You don't look much older than me. Listening to Shiryu's words, Hisoka shook his head and smiled mysteriously. Squeak. He walked forward, and a door was opened by him. Then he walked into the director's office, and Shiryu followed suit. Soon, a phone bug was found inside. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Marshal Marine's empty office. Blue. A phone bug started to ring its voice. Kong sat in the office, looking at the phone bug with some doubts. That's the phone bug of Impel Down. Why did you call it this time? Sora suppressed the doubt in his heart and reached out to pick up the phone bug. Seeing the strange appearance imitated by the phone bug, Kong felt a little uneasy in his heart. Hey, is it Marshal Sora? I am. What's wrong? Is something wrong with Impel Down? Usually this phone bug is used by Director Impel Down and his assistants. Now Sora still thinks it should be the new assistant over there or something. Hey. Marshal Sora, I've heard of you for a long time. I'm Hisoka. Hisoka. Suddenly, I heard Hisoka's word empty and felt a little familiar. But when I looked back, I suddenly remembered who it was. Isn't that the pirate supernova Apple Hunter Hisoka that was sent into Impel Down the other day? What exactly is going on? Sora squeezed the corner of the desk in the office in front of him with his other hand. Boom! Unconscious force broke the corner of the table all at once. However, Sora was not in the mood for such a trivial matter at this time. His face was cloudy and uncertain, and his mind was full of thoughts. Impel Down to Naval Headquarters, how the phone bug fell into Hisoka's hands. What the hell is that Nobega's guy doing? Marshal Sora, please don't be so loud. Are your eardrums almost shattered? Listening to the other parties teasing slowly, Sora felt his inner anger and blood pressure rising. He asked in a deep voice, Hiso, how did this phone bug get into your hands? What are they doing with Nobega's 540? What are you doing now? Marshal Kong, let's come on by one. You ask so many questions at once. I don't know which one to answer. Watching the phone bug in front of him vividly express Hisoka's expression, Kong just felt that the killing intent could not be restrained. Then, let's answer the dynamics of the high-level personnel here first. The director, the deputy director, the warden, and the deputy warden have all been dealt with now. In other words, I have captured more than half of Impel Down. Hearing Hisoka's words, Sora felt the anger in his heart continue to rise. What the hell is this guy talking about? How could those guys in Omegas be defeated? Impelled down, known as the Iron Wall, has been captured. What are you kidding? Even if the Golden Lion escapes from prison, they won't be defeated. Amir Hisoka, the last is the purpose of my calling. Marshal Kong. Hearing what Hisoka said, Sora immediately became absorbed. On behalf of Impel Down all the criminals, I officially declare war on you, Marine. Hear this sentence. Kong only felt his head buzzing, and his heart was terrified. Chapter 63, looking forward to your arrival. Impel Down fell the phone bug, ignored Sora's shock, but continued. I hope you can send enough people here. Otherwise, there are not enough monsters from Eternal Hell. Of course, you don't have to send anyone over here. It's just, at this moment, the voice of the phone bug paused and then continued. Not to mention, at least all the criminals from Eternal Hell will run away. Hearing Hisoka's words, Sora's pupils narrowed slightly. Marshal Kong, I look forward to your arrival. By the way, there are only a few hours. If you miss it, it will be a pity. Heh, with a laugh from the phone bug. Before he had time to continue asking, the call from the phone bug also ended. Hateful. Sora looked at the phone bug with his eyes closed and slammed his stone hand on the table. The entire table was directly cracked. After half a sound, he forced himself to calm down and then took out a few phone bugs to make a call. After a while, his face became even more gloomy. Some of these phone bugs are phone bugs of other prison staff in Impel Down. Others are phone bugs from a Marine guarding Impel Down. Naturally, it was impossible for him to believe what Hisoka said after hearing his words. And now, after dialing these phone bugs, he had to admit it. There is a high probability that Impel Down has indeed fallen. The tone of response of these phone bugs after dialing is mostly the same. It was Hisoka's tone. It's just that the face simulated by the phone bug is the original owner's appearance. Does that mean Hisoka has the ability to control people? And such a large-scale control. This is already different from the phantom of his original intelligence. Sora just thought for a while. Then the alarm for an emergency meeting was raised. The situation is urgent. He must treat it with caution. Since the beginning of the Great Pirate Era, the number of pirates has increased dramatically. Now a few years down, plus the previous criminals. The number of criminals in Impel Down has exceeded 100,000. Those are guys whose minimum rewards are around 10 million. This is an incomparably huge power star. There are about 20 warships stationed around Impel Down. If these warships are controlled by Hisoka, while those criminals would probably get away with most of it, the consequences are unimaginable and unimaginable, especially those monsters in Eternal Hell. With a heavy heart, Sora hurried to the meeting room, Naval Headquarters conference room. Kong, who was sitting in the first seat, looked at the Marine generals who were quickly approaching. Straight to the point. Everyone, Impel Down has fallen. Hearing Kong's words, everyone's pupils couldn't help shrinking. Their expressions were horrified. Marshal Kong, do you want to tell us a joke today? Are you kidding me? How could Impel Down fall? I haven't heard of such a situation since Impel Down was built. Marshal Kong, please explain clearly. It was fine a few days ago. How could it be possible to say that it has fallen? Aren't there no Begas guarding them there? They all eat dry food. With the empty first sentence, the entire meeting room is like a frying pan. There was a lot of discussion. Seeing the generals in the meeting room turned pale with fright. After waiting for them to calm down for a while, Sora stretched out his hand to signal silence. Everyone stared at Sora. Wait for him to tell the specific situation. Sora took a deep breath and then began to tell the end of the matter. After Sora finished speaking, the entire conference room fell into silence. Even Garp, who was the most carefree, had a dignified expression at this time. Akiji next to him was even more dazed, because Hisoka was the one who sent him into Impel Down with his own hands. Thinking of Hisoka's weird smile before. So, was he arrested on purpose? The purpose is to Impel Down? As Akiji was in a daze, Sora spoke again. Everyone, the current situation is urgent. Impel Down has a high probability of falling. We have to treat it with the worst situation. He looked at the Marine generals around him. In order to avoid the spread of the situation, I will now dispatch most of the combat power of Naval Headquarters to support urgently. Be sure to snipe all these villains and impel down, and never allow them to escape. Kong stood up with a passionate tone. This is going to be a war. Our Marine versus impelled down over 100,000 prisoners. So please take it seriously. After half a sound, the people in the conference room began to rush out of the conference room. They began to return to their respective areas to urgently mobilize the Marine fleet. Akiji, on the other hand, was walking in a daze. Suddenly, someone tapped him on the shoulder. "Ha! Kazan boy, what are you thinking? How do you look out of your mind?" Akiji couldn't help but envy seeing Garp's heartless appearance when he left the conference room. Thanks to Mr. Garp, he is still so optimistic even in this situation. But in the face of Garp's inquiry, he couldn't help but smile bitterly and remain silent. Garp looked at Akiji's appearance, and his face became serious. There is no need to blame yourself. No one expected the situation to develop to such an extent. If you really want to make it up, then go all out. Hearing Garp's consolation, Akiji was silent for a moment and cheered up. "Mr. Garp, you are right. This time, I'm gonna stop that guy Hisoka." Watching Nuo Zhaohao, Akiji pick himself up again. Garp also laughed and then walked forward with arrogant steps, and Akiji followed closely. Garp, with his back to Akiji, still had a smile on his face. But the heart is very dignified. What the hell happened to Hisoka? Go to impel down and free all prisoners, instead of running away. Declare war on Naval Headquarters. This behavior is simply insane. What is his purpose? Is it criminals who want to subdue impel down? Or do you want to severely damage Marine's power? How the real situation is, he does not know. It's just that it's up to now, no matter what that guy thinks. He must smash his plot with his iron fist. Chapter 64, Top Battle. Cool down da da da. The sound of hurried footsteps kept ringing. With Naval Headquarters, the emergency call sirens sounded. Marines from various related areas went to the designated place to gather. Under the gathering of the generals leading the team, Naval Headquarters set off with a mighty fleet of more than 20 Marine warships. This time it happened suddenly. But fortunately, Kong still summoned a lot of combat power because a lot of combat power did not go out this time. Follow previous potential practice. Naval Headquarters requires a Marine Admiral and at least one Marine Admiral to guard Naval Headquarters. Avoid being defeated by the sudden invasion of big pirates. There are many residents here besides Marine. It is also the face of Marine, impossible to ignore. Also, Admiral needs to be dispatched when there is an accident on the Celestial Dragon's side. But Sora broke that convention at this time, except for himself guarding Naval Headquarters. All the high-level combat forces have been sent out. At present, the highest level combat power directly dispatched by the sky is the Marine Hero Garp, Marine Admiral Sengoku, and Marine Admiral Zephyr. Led them. Below them are Marine Vice Admiral Kizaru Pagliasolino, Marine Vice Admiral Akiji Kazan, and Staff Crane. Then there were 6 Vice Admirals who stayed at Naval Headquarters and did not go out to execute. They were all sent up. The 537 people on the warship were densely packed and directly overloaded. These are the elite of Naval Headquarters. A total of more than 30,000 Marines. It's just that Kong is still a little worried. Zhong. Marine is nothing compared to the pirates. If the pirates are dead, they may just recruit them, by the way. But a qualified Marine is cultivated step by step. Especially the Marines transferred this time are the elite of Naval Headquarters. Its cultivation costs a lot of resources. In short, these Marines are the foundation of Naval Headquarters domination of the first half of the Grand Line. But today's opponents may be criminals who impelled down more than 100,000 or fight in warehouses. The battlefield is still a place like impelled down. With multiple factors, the battle situation may be extremely tragic. Just thinking about what will happen next makes Sora feel extremely sad. If it is a miserable victory, it is definitely not a victory for Marine, but a huge loss. Why? Hope everything goes well. He looked at the phone bug in front of him. When Naval Headquarters mobilized the fleet just now, he had already talked to 5 elders of the world government. Originally, he also hoped that Mary Ahua could send strong men and even send a calf, troops to assist. But 5 elders' reply made him half-hearted. Impelled down actually fell. This kind of thing is simply a fantasy. It's just that the back is full of scolding. They have doubts about Marine's ability. He also refused to send troops. The guard of the Holy Land, Mariehua, will not move. Now that Marine is sending troops to impel down with great fanfare. It must have been discovered by many spies from other forces. If even the Holy Land sends out guards, how will other forces, kingdoms, and even civilians view the world government? Marine is gone? Do you even need support from the world government? If this kind of wrong information is passed on, it will deal a big blow to the prestige of the world government. At the same time, various potential elements of subsequent confusion are triggered. In addition, there are various factors. For example, the purpose of Marine's existence is to protect the Holy Land, not to protect the Marine from the Holy Land. In short, the conclusion is that the world government will not send out troops. Impel down requires Marine to suppress it by itself. Of course, 5 elders can't let this kind of situation develop after all, and will still send some CP0s to intervene. If they lose the battlefield at that time, they will provide support. CP0? Are those guys really reliable? Kong sighed inwardly, thinking leisurely. Naval headquarters in the distance. Some stealthy ships spotted the Marine anomaly through telescopes. These ships are personnel sent by some big forces or simply underground intelligence organizations to monitor Marine's movements. They are based on the Sabaody archipelago. Countless days and nights alternate. There will even be an intelligence connection. We will also conduct information sales to the outside world. This situation is inevitable for a behemoth like Marine. Even if a batch is eliminated and there is still a batch, it will default to this situation. At this time, these intelligence personnel have discovered Marine's anomaly. More than 20 large Marine warships set off from naval headquarters. With such a big movement, they immediately became concerned. Is this going to war? What the hell is going on? Follow these spies to deliver messages to various forces. These messages are also sold by the underground world to some powerful forces. Soon, many big forces knew about Marine's actions. After all, sometimes Marine's actions are related to his own life and death, so he has to take care of it. Only this time they were still intimidated. There are more than 20 large warships. How many people are on board? You must know that many Marines who can stay in naval headquarters are elite. By the way, miscellaneous fish. With so many elite Marines, it is already possible to start a top-level war, aware of the seriousness of the situation. Some factions have begun to use spies hidden in naval headquarters to gather information. It soon became known that there was a change in Impel Down, and Marine was required to suppress it. It's just that getting this kind of information is already the limit, and those who really know the information are above the position of Vice Admiral. But even so, this situation has greatly exceeded the expectations of many forces. How serious is the problem of Impel Down? You can guess from sending such a huge fleet. Could it be that someone escaped from the prison, and the warden there couldn't help it? Think more boldly. Is it possible that the warden over there has been defeated and the prisoners are fleeing frantically? So many fleets are needed to pursue and suppress. The cold sea breeze began to blow. The Marine fleet headed to Impel Down to support was driving on the current, and the warship was silent. The wind blows the corners of the Marines' clothes, not only cooling their bodies, but also cooling their hearts, as the Marines who go to support and are likely to be involved in the war at the same time. The higher-ups must have revealed some information to prepare them mentally. Otherwise, without any preparation in mind, it is difficult to ensure that there will be no problems when you suddenly go to the battlefield. At the same time, they are there to fight, not to travel. Desperate people naturally have the right to know what they are about to face. It's just that the top management didn't reveal too much, just said something vague. However, even so, it was enough to make these Marines feel cold in their hearts. Chapter 65, The Winning Ticket, is in hand. Long live Hisoka-sama Naval Headquarters Marine Ford is the headquarters of the Marine. It directly dominates the vitality of the entire first half of the Grand Line. In the first half of the Grand Line, Marine was stronger than ever. Here, the life safety of Marines can be greatly guaranteed. Under normal circumstances, the pirates who cannot defeat the Marine warships will be chased and run around. Most of those who can fight and chase Marine warships will not be too ostentatious. Don't dare to kill too many Marines to avoid Marines' leapfrog pursuit. Coupled with the advanced warships, the improvement of the medical system, the supply points everywhere, some safe and dedicated routes, the timely intelligence, the support in place, and other factors. Exactly. Marines' death rate in the first half of the Grand Line wasn't outrageous. However, the next thing they're going to is impel down, and they may enter the battlefield and fall into war. What is war? It's a meat grinder. What's more, the opponent may be a vicious criminal in impel down. Anyway, these Marines feel quite sudden. There is some confusion in my heart. It's just that he was quickly led by the summoned general. Marine Hero Garp, Marine Admiral Sengoku, Marine Admiral Zephyr, and other high-level combat forces. Such a powerful battle force actually went together. It was like moving there with naval headquarters. This is what used to lie flat. The ticket is in hand. Soon they were optimistic again. Impel down. The criminals on the first, second, and third floors are all rioting. Many of the guards who were not under Hisoka's control were trying to stop them. However, the trend of riots could not be stopped. Many criminals began to set off towards the fourth floor. There are also those who set off towards the ground and want to escape impelled down by themselves. It's just that he was soon taught to be a human by the jailers gathered on the ground floor. Of course, some people took advantage of the chaos and ran out. But what they faced was the bombardment of nearly 20 warships. Many of the commanders on these warships are controlled by Hisoka hypnosis, but they pretended to be normal and began to command their soldiers to enter the ground floor to help guard. Only the necessary soldiers are left to control the warship away from the port for artillery support. Soon some criminals can't take it anymore. Originally, they had been tortured for a long time, and their bodies were very weak. There is no room for strength to be displayed at all, and now there is no backbone when escaping. They are all self-serving and don't care about other people's life or death. In this case, the battle on the ground floor is dominated by the jailers and Marines. On the basement floor, the orangutans took turns cutting people with axes. Many ferocious beasts on the second floor of the basement also had a great time chasing them and went directly to add food. So many prisoners couldn't help but think of what they said when they were released by those strange jailers. Go to the fourth floor underground, where there will be a chance to save your life and escape from prison. After learning the lesson, many people finally started to go to that layer spontaneously. If you have to be iron-headed, the death of the people next to you will warn them. For floors underground, near the kitchen and granary access, a dense crowd of prisoners gathered here. At this time, jailers continued to distribute various dry food items, and the prisoners began to gobble it up too. Except eternal hell, other hells carry out various tortures on the body. I don't know how long I haven't had enough to eat. In this case, they are very depleted. Having food at this moment is like seeing a pervert and seeing a beautiful woman. He gnawed madly. What a poor bunch. Seeing these prisoners who were like starving ghosts, Hisoka had a look of pity. Some criminals who were close to him showed a moved expression when they heard his words, shouting words like "Long live Hisoka-sama." Many prisoners who come here have heard about it. It was the man in front of him who planned the jailbreak that shook the entire impel down. Monsters from all over Eternal Hell followed him. Eternal Hell, a hell that many criminals have never heard of. But just because it is located on the 6th basement level, under the freezing hell, it is known to be terrible. There are hundreds of millions of pirates in freezing hell. It is hard to imagine how powerful the prisoners in Eternal Hell are. Because of this, Hisoka was extremely dazzling in the eyes of these prisoners. Shiryu next to him felt very speechless. This guy is about to send everyone to be cannon fodder. Do you have the nerve to pretend to be a good person here? It's really shameless. Feel the disdain in Shiryu's eyes. Hisoka didn't care. He held out his hand to take the food that a cook had brought to him. Start to savor it slowly. These days, Hisoka roams around this big prison, constantly used the magician's hypnosis ability to control some of the jailer staff and the commander stationed in the marine. Fortunately, hypnosis has no load on Hisoka itself, and only needs to consume mental energy and a little physical energy when using hypnosis. It can be said that this large-scale manipulator is derived from the results of these days. However, this ability still has shortcomings. The higher the strength, the easier it is to break free, and you can't be too stimulated, hit, etc. At the same time, sleep is also time-sensitive. In another day or two, many people who have been hypnosis in this impelled down will wake up. This is the result of brief hypnosis. But even if it is only short-term, it is enough for Hisoka. With the passage of time, there are more and more criminals gathered on the 4th floor. There are nearly 50,000 or so, except some are still roaming and fighting in impelled down. There are also many that have not been released. After all, Hisoka can't do everything. But it didn't matter to him. With these guys in front of him, it is enough to set off a grand banquet. Seeing the happy faces of these guys, Hisoka turned around and showed a weird smile. I do not know how long it has been. Hisoka stood up in the kitchen. Following his actions, the criminals of eternal hell and freezing hell gathered in the kitchen all focused their eyes on him. In the eyes of everyone, Hisoka licked his lips, revealing a pervert face. "It's time, evil scumbags. Let's break out." Hearing his words, almost everyone in the kitchen cheered. Under the cheers of the crowd, Hisoka took the lead. Everyone got up and followed closely behind. The biggest riot in the history of Impel Down has officially begun. Chapter 66, The Arrival of the Marine Fleet. The King of the Pot makes a move. Following Hisoka's actions, the dense crowd of prisoners outside looked at Hisoka and the powerful criminals following behind him. All of them couldn't help showing adoring eyes. These guys are basically pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. A bounty of over 100 million is already well known in the first half of the Grand Line, even in New World. Yet there are so many gathered here, all the way silent. All the criminals followed Hisoka from the 4th underground floor to the 1st floor above ground, destroyed along the way. All the jailers and beasts standing in the way were defeated. The team is too strong right now. Along the way, all criminals on the road spontaneously joined the team and followed behind them. Soon, they reached the 1st level of Impel Down. Facing this huge team, the Marines who supported on the 1st floor were still frightened even when the number of 573 exceeded 5,000. They don't understand why so many criminals escape from prison. There are tens of thousands of people who can't see the head behind this dense crowd. Not all criminals escape from prison, and their faces look much better than the previous criminals. What is the warden doing? In the confusion of the Marines, they were soon defeated. Even if there are some people, if they don't have high-level combat power, they will be killed. What's more, they're not dominant in numbers now. Among them, all the jailer beasts gathered on the ground floor did not make a move, and they were all gathered by the jailer chief. It's nicknamed guarding the control room. There is no doubt that the warden has also been hypnosis. The people in the control room were also controlled by Hisoka, just to complete their final mission. The warships around the large prison were arranged by the commander to sail to the port in the name of rescuing the routed Marine on the ground floor. As the warships approached one after another, they were easily hijacked by criminals. Marines in some warships realized that something was wrong, but the personnel controlling the warships were unmoved. Among all the warships, Hisoka controlled the commander inside and the core personnel who controlled the warship. As for the other Hisoka, his efforts were not in vain. Now is also the time for them to fulfill their mission. As the criminals attack, more than a dozen Marine warships changed hands one after another. The criminals from Eternal Hell and Freezing Hell followed Hisoka directly and seized a warship. Among them, there are more than 60 criminals in the current Eternal Hell. And there are not many criminals in Freezing Hell, only hundreds of them. The reason is simple. The death rate in Freezing Hell is very high. At this time, they boarded the huge warship, started driving towards the huge door. That is the Gate of Justice, and only through the Gate of Justice can one ride the correct current. Set off with the warship Hisoka. The dozen or so warships behind followed suit. The criminals on it are densely packed. Everywhere is full of people. No way, there are too many people. And as a warship sails, the defeated Marines and jailers began to gather. No wonder he kindly looked at the criminals who fell behind and didn't get on the boat. In such an atmosphere, the door of justice is opened. The personnel in the control room on the first floor activated the switch with a calm expression, and some people who are not controlled suddenly feel wrong. Want to stop, but he was knocked into the air by the jailer beast with a level A, and his life and death were unknown. A man in his 40s walked out from behind the jailerman. He is the current warden. It was he who began to direct jailerman into action. He is also one of the strongest characters in Hisoka hypnosis. It took Hisoka a lot of time, and now is the time for him to complete his mission. Time passed slowly. More than a dozen warships began to rush out of the gate of justice. Free. We're free. Ha! Air! Before the prisoners on the warship cheered, they suddenly seemed to be strangled by the throat. The reason is simple. Within sight, more than 20 large warships are rushing forward, facing this huge marine fleet. Hisoka, who was the leader, showed a strange smile. The reason for this coincidence is that he can perceive the arrival of this marine fleet. Originally, he set the stalker's mark on Akiji's clothes. That was when fighting Akiji. But later, along with Akiji's elementalization mark was removed. It's just that he also marked the warship on Akiji's warship in the follow-up. Now, that warship is in the marine fleet in front of me. It's marine? Didn't it mean that the phone bug leading to naval headquarters has been confiscated by someone controlled by Hisoka-sama? Looks like someone slipped through the net. Haha, it doesn't matter. Even if there's so many of us in marine, how can they stop it? Soon these criminals began to regain their confidence. Although there are fewer warships on their side, the people on them are densely packed. According to the conventional configuration, even if the opponent has more warships, the opponent's marine force must be less than theirs. And now many of them are full of food and drink, although their strength is still not as high as at their peak. But before going to jail, all of them are pirates with an average reward of tens of millions. How could his courage be so small? Especially when the criminals from Eternal Hell and Freezing Hell lead the team. Has Marine come? It's just in time. Lonely Red Redfield looked at the warship in front of him and took a deep look at Hisoka. This guy can't hear his heart at all. Sensing Redfield's gaze, Hisoka smiled back. Several other Eternal Hell monsters also looked at the fleet indifferently. They had reached an agreement with Hisoka at the earliest time. Freedom in exchange for a war with Marine. And the time of this war is just a few hours. If Marine does not come after these few hours, then the agreement is considered complete and you can leave directly. But now it seems, still can't avoid this hurdle. Marine? Just give them a welcome gift. Start early and finish early. I don't want to waste time here. The kind old man named Paula, nicknamed the King of the Pot, said with a smile as he stretched out his hand. A huge white translucent kettle over 100 meters appeared in midair at 2.5, then rolled towards the sea water on the sea surface. The giant star sea water is directly pulled, then rushed towards the fleet in sight. Crash! Waves of super waves hundreds of meters high leaping towards the marine fleet in sight. More than a dozen warships carrying criminals also began to shake violently due to the imbalance of seawater. It's the King of the Pot. It's the King of the Pot. Is this the monster from Eternal Hell? It's so powerful. Ha! There is such a monster. The marine opposite is dead. Looking at the huge kettle in midair, there are several waves of hundreds of meters of tsunamis. All criminals are shocked and excited. Chapter 67 Defeat the Marine in front of you. Bachi Kyongyu watching 3 waves of hundreds of meters high on both sides of the front, forming an inverted 8-shaped tsunami, sweeping towards the marine fleet in front of you. All the prisoners watched in awe and excitement. The King of the Pot alone is so powerful. There are other monsters from Eternal Hell that haven't been shot yet. Jailbreaking is simply a matter of having feet. It's really spectacular. I can still see such a scene after so many years. It's just that the times have changed now. Seeing the spectacular scene in front of him, Phil Osman couldn't help but sigh with emotion. When Phil Osman was feeling the era, many pirates from Eternal Hell and Freezing Hell looked at the kind old man in awe. Is this the King of Pots? Rumor has it that he has fought against Whitebeard. although some people don't understand the old man in front of them. But when impelled down is feasting, all that is known about the monsters that follow Hisoka will be bragged about. So even if you didn't understand it before, you still have some concepts now. He's a super pirate who was active in the Rocks era. It is rumored that he had a battle with Whitebeard at that time, and finally lost in 2 days and 2 nights, while the impelled down criminals were in shock. From the opposite Marine fleet, this giant pot. Did the king of the pot follow Prison Break 02? I didn't expect him to be decayed yet. Looking at the huge tsunami surrounded from both sides in front. Then look at the fleet of warships full of criminals in the field of vision. While Sengoku was thankful that he arrived in time and did not let the opponent escape, I can't help but feel sad, because the fact is that Impel Down has fallen. Not only fell, but seeing so many prisoners hanging on those warships, one knows how serious the consequences of the situation are. In any case, he must not let these guys escape like this. Sengoku made up his mind. It's a tsunami. What a high tsunami. Monster. The other party is a monster. What to do? What to do? Watching the huge tsunami sweeping across the sky, it seems to bury them. Many Marines also panicked at this time, not to mention how many people would die from that powerful impact. Now it can be said that Fantao is still in Combelt. If the warship shatters and sinks to the bottom of the Sea Kings in the sea don't mind extra meals. When all the Marines panicked, a figure jumped up from a warship of the fleet. 2 long and narrow ice blocks extended towards the tsunami on both sides. Ice Age. The tsunami stopped. With the change of the sound, the sea surface seemed to be dyed white and extended towards the sky. In just a short moment, the whole world seemed to have turned into a world of ice and snow. It was frozen together with a not-closed door of justice not far away. Great. Save. It's Akiji Vice Admiral. It's Akiji Vice Admiral. So powerful. That's right, it actually froze the entire sea. It's really amazing. Sure enough, we have Admiral and Marine heroes leading them. It is impossible to lose. Watching the frozen tsunami on both sides of the perimeter, the Marines started cheering. Akiji in midair also landed on a warship, and he looked at the fleet coming out of the Gate of Justice not far away. Look at the densely packed prisoners above. He thought silently in his heart. They must not be allowed to escape like this. It's frozen. It's actually frozen. The whole sea has turned into ice. Is that Marine a monster? The sea is frozen, and the ships can't move. What to do? What to do? See, the whole sea is frozen. Many pirates began to panic. After all, this scene looks really scary. Although most of their average rewards are Fantao, who has a reward of tens of millions. But at any rate, it is still within the Fantao of human beings. And the scene in front of me feels like it's not something a human can do. It feels like the gap is too big. Fleet-led warships. Hisoka looked at the frozen sea. He looked at the flustered pirates whispering around, and the monsters with flat faces looking at him. The smile on the corner of his mouth became more intense. Clatter, with the rhythm of footsteps. Hisoka walked to the bow of the warship. On the move, waves of invisible ripples spread from his feet towards the surrounding area. All the criminals, and even Marines' eyes couldn't help but be attracted by that figure. Start to be quiet. In the eyes of everyone, Hisoka's eyes involuntarily curved like crescent moons. He began to laugh, and then began to speak. The sound is not loud, but it seems to linger in the ears of pirates and criminals. Hey, all the evil scum. Have you seen the ice under your feet? Now you have no way out. If you back down, then go on to the dark Impel Down to be tortured. So he turned and looked back at all the eyes looking at him. Under the eager eyes of everyone, he uttered the last sentence. Destroy the Marine in front of you. As a reward, you'll get the freedom you dream of. The whole scene was silent for a moment. Immediately, deafening cheers began to erupt. Yes, defeat them. Long live Hisoka-sama. Under Hisoka-sama's leadership, we will definitely be free. Even if Lousy dies, he won't enter Impel Down again. 810, with the leadership of those monsters, there is nothing to be afraid of. After hearing Hisoka's words, the criminals on more than a dozen warships began to boil with enthusiasm. wishing to rush up and fight Marine right now. And the Marines on the opposite warship saw the high morale of the enemy, and they all began to feel sorry for each other. Is he the enemy's Admiral Hisoka? The chief culprit of this incident, he raised the morale of those criminals to such a level with just a few words. It's really scary. A man in a yellow and white striped suit and a purple tie spoke slowly. It was Marine Vice Admiral Kizaru Pagliasolino. He looked around and Marine's morale began to drop, and he walked forward. You can't let him continue to perform like this, call out. Kizaru turned into a flash of light. In an instant, he flew to the upper half of the warship where Hisoka was. All criminals are also attracted by this turn of events. Phantom Hisoka, can I trouble you to catch him without a fight? Dazzling golden glitter shone on Kizaru's hands, making many eyes shed tears facing the glittering pirate. Hearing the voice coming from the upper air behind him, Hisoka raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and he turned around. 8-foot Kivu, Chapter 68, The Scythe of Despair and the Place of Worship, the Sword of Sky, Tsung Yun Hee. It's really dazzling. Looking at the intense light shining in the upper half of the sky, Hisoka raised the corners of his mouth and narrowed his eyes slightly. And at this time, Kizaru is also ready. Countless dazzling light bullets began to explode, shooting towards Hisoka. On the nick of time, a figure flashed into the upper air in front of Hisoka. Countless knife lights are constantly rotating. When, all the light bullets were directly bounced into the surrounding midair. Boom! Then the light bomb fell and hit the ice surface with a loud explosion. Potholes were blasted. The explosions caused by countless light bombs made the ice on the sea tremble and resonate slightly. Even the pirates and Marines on the warships on both sides can clearly feel it. If it weren't for the huge currents and sea kings here, Akiji would greatly increase the thickness of the ice. This piece of bombed ice has long been broken. It's just that these are not everyone's attention now. Now, their focus is on the figure standing in front of Kizaru, a slightly thin man with blonde hair tied up to his shoulders by a thread. There is a scar at the corner of the eye. It's so scary. It turned out to be you, the Scythe of Despair Gabajuo. Did even monsters like you come out? At this point, Kizaru has stopped releasing the flash bombs. I am very angry now. Come and help me reduce the fire. Following the wanton smile of the man in front of him, he seemed to be stepping on the air, holding a scythe that was as tall as him in his right hand. Shoot towards Kizaru. Hiss. Fast. Unparalleled fast. Many prisoners and Marines just felt like countless knives flashed in their eyes. Immediately afterwards, when only a loud bang was heard, the monster vice admiral turned into a flash and burst onto the ice. Seeing this scene, many pirates cheered. They have a lot of knowledge about Kizaru, the monster vice admiral promoted by Marine, the owner of the powerful Logia fruit, sparkling fruit, together with Marine Akiji and Marine's loyal dog, is known as the Three Marine Monsters Vice Admiral. Its strength can be imagined. However, not only was the man caught the move, but he also counterattacked and knocked him down. This kind of strength is worthy of being a powerful monster of eternal hell. This is Gabaisho, the Scythe of Despair. Haha, awesome. These eternal hell monsters are really strong. With them here, the Marine in front of me will definitely be defeated. While the pirates were cheering, Marine was a little depressed instead. It's just that they still haven't lost confidence. Because Marine Admiral, Marine Hero has not been shot yet. They're the highest strength of Marine. On the ice, as the ice fog dissipated, a lazy voice sounded again. It's the Scythe of Despair. What monster? It's a bit difficult. I saw Kizaru with his hands in his pockets looking at Gabeso not far away next to Hisoka. He looked at his collar, only to see that it was torn into 2 gaps, and there was a wound on his cheek. The other side, Sengoku looked at the personnel on the opponent's first ship with a solemn expression. Lonely Red Redfield, Devil's Air Bullet, Bad News Phil Rothman, seeing those monsters within different faces cast their gazes here. At this moment, Sengoku only felt a headache. Hisoka, how did this guy keep those rebellious monsters obediently behind him? Has he already subdued them? This is too far-fetched. Only now Sengoku dare not gamble. If you let them just leave, then it is comparable to the second Rocks pirate, or even more serious? Let's start fighting, Sengoku said to the adjutant next to him. Now, many criminals have been imprisoned and impelled down for a long time, and their strength can be said to be a low point. Don't make trouble at this time. When they recuperate and rush to the sea in the future, then the whole sea may be in chaos. The era of the great pirates may be intensified by then, as the adjutant begins to signal the various warships. Even with fear in their hearts, the Marines could only jump off the boat and rush towards the pirates. The pirates, and impelled down, saw the Marine in front of them fall on the ice and rushed up. They also rushed up one after another, screaming. When Impel is down, there are jailers controlled by Hisoka, who give them some basic swords or guns. Kill. The two parties quickly collided on the ice. Gunshots, shouts, sword strikes, etc. began to sound. The sound of rushing and killing resounded through the sky. Look at the scene in front of you. Hisoka, standing at the bow, closed his eyes slightly and opened his hands, like a conductor of music. An intoxicated look. It's really spectacular. It's nice to enjoy this feeling once in a while. What do you think? Gabeso. All I need is fighting. After this war, I really want to test the hardness of your body. Hisoka, Gabeso next to him, said with a bloodthirsty face. It sounds really scary, but I welcome it. You must not fall down here. Gabeso. Hisoka smiled. Looking at his smile, Gabby's bloodthirsty smile is even more intense. For a man who dares to single-handedly plan such a major event that will shake history, it must be very cool to cut it. Immediately, he suddenly kicked towards Kazura not far away and shot out. The huge scythe flew from his hands. It's too much. Such a powerful monster. Can you not trouble me? Amazon Cloud Sword. While dodging Gabeso's attack, Kizuru condensed a lightsaber to block Gabeso's high-frequency attack. Stop talking nonsense now, Li Wanghao. Let me get excited. On a warship not far away, Sengoku looked at Gabeso, who was fighting with Kizuru. It also recalls the information of this Gabai. The Scythe of Despair, the great swordsman who was once famous in New World, is rumored that his observation haki has reached the point of predicting the future. Although the weapon used is a sickle, what is used is swordsmanship. Its own speed is fast, and swordsmanship has a high explosive characteristic, just like a ghost. Often people can't see that the battle is over, so they get the nickname Grave of Despair, meaning invisible despair. The character is bloodthirsty and warlike, and it is very dangerous in battle, so it has the nickname of Death Scythe. It's good for this man to let Kizara hold him back. Otherwise, if he is allowed to rush into the battlefield, Marine may die faster than mowing grass. Chapter 69 Marine Garp makes a move, the experience of the King of Pots, while Sengoku was meditating. Garp next to him is already gearing up. Is that the brat on the opposite side planning this prison break? Now I can't wait to teach him a lesson. I saw him grab it. The cloak on the back was thrown directly onto the deck of the warship. Everyone on the warship became excited when they saw Garp stretching his muscles and bones. Marine Vice Admiral Garp is on the move. He is the hero of Marine, and his strength is unimaginably powerful. With a shot, the war may be directly tilted to one side. Garp, you can't make a move yet. You have to wait for the right time. Before Sengoku could finish speaking, Garp charged up and fired directly towards the opposite warship like a cannonball. All that was left was a wild laugh. Ha ha ha. Sengoku, I don't have time to listen to your ramblings. Let's go. Seeing how heroic he is, the surrounding Marines all admired him. It's not bad that it's Vice Admiral Garp. It's just full of pride. Looking at the mindless worship Garp around, Sengoku felt a tic-tac-toe popping out of his forehead and couldn't help shouting, BD Garp, did you listen to me? It's just that the 910 Garp has already jumped out, and I can't hear what he is saying at all. The other side, Hisoka watched a Marine burst out from a warship not far away, and at the same time that Marine said so in midair. Little devil die. It was as if a fist the size of a sandbag was clenched tightly, ready to attack him. At this critical juncture, the jug, which was still half empty, rolled straight towards Garp, and Garp also waved his fist and directly hit the giant pot, when only a deafening bang was heard. Click! The sound of cracks spreading sounded. This giant pot, over 100 meters, shattered directly into grains of white shimmering light floating in the air. Garp also fell directly on the ice not far away because of the shock force. It's Vice Admiral Garp. It's Vice Admiral Garp's shot. He's Marine Hero Garp. With him leading us, we will surely usher in victory. The loud sound of Garp smashing the jug caught everyone's attention. The Marine side also cheered when they saw that Garp smashed the huge pot directly with his shot. And not just because of Garp's popularity. At the same time, the huge pot that stayed in midair also made them a little scared. They were afraid that the huge pot would suddenly run over to them from midair. But now Garp has helped them relieve their hidden worries in this regard. Marine Hero Garp. It's Marine Hero Garp. I didn't expect him to follow. The legendary Marine Hero Garp. It is rumored that he once chased the One Piece. It's terrible. It's hard to imagine what kind of power he has. The pirates also had a huge reaction when they saw Garp make a move. Nothing but a negative reaction. Because there are too many legendary deeds in this Marine. It's hard not to be shocked to see him make a move all of a sudden. Just don't wait for them to howl. The Marines with high morale start to attack. They also had to bite the bullet and fight. Clatter. The king of the pot, Paula, walked to the bow step by step. Let me stop, Garp. I don't care about the rest, he said with a smile. Hisoka, who was next to him, also responded with a corner of his mouth. Certainly, Hisoka's response made Paula nod. Then he jumped up and shot straight at Garp. On ice. Garp looked at Paula, who fell in front of him, and couldn't help laughing. Pot King Paula, I didn't expect you to be an old guy now, but you still didn't die and impel down. What a pity. However, you, Aki, look much more friendly now, much better than before. Garp's teasing made Paula smile too. Garp boy, it's still so rude after not seeing you for so many years. His narrowed eyes opened slightly. My current situation is not due to you Marines. Garp touched his head and smiled a little embarrassedly. Don't mention this. You are sure you want to stop me? I heard that Whitebeard guy beat your turtle shell for 2 days and 2 nights. Now I don't need that long. Heard Garp mention Whitebeard. Paula couldn't help feeling a little dazed. Now Whitebeard seems to be the overlord of the new world. Time flies so fast. Garp boy, I hear you beat the rocks. That's amazing. In that case, let me experience your current strength. A 10-meter pot suddenly appeared. Its opening was directly installed towards Garp, and at the same time, a strong suction came from inside. Haha, how could it be possible for you to succeed? Seeing that the kettle was thrown towards him, he wanted to put himself in it. Garp didn't sit still. The mighty armament hockey condensed in his hands, then burst into the side of the pot and hit it directly to shatter the pot. After doing this, he shoots Paula in a moonwalk burst. When? The loud sound is deafening. I saw a 2-meter-tall jug form from the bottom of the king of the jug, directly covering him, and it was slowly rotating. Garp's powerful armament hockey crossed it without leaving a single crack in it. It's really hard enough. It didn't even leave a single crack. Your nickname is not for nothing. At this time, Garp looked at the white and translucent pot and couldn't help feeling a little emotional. Whitebeard was sent by the rocks to deal with the king of pots. However, he fought for 2 days and 2 nights in a daze, and finally the king of the pot was exhausted before he was defeated. In the end, he was picked up by one of the previous Marine admirals and became a meritorious service. Garp really didn't want to talk about this kind of thing. Haha, just let me see if your turtle shell is really that hard. When Garp used a powerful armed color combined with his physical skills to follow the rotation of the pot and slam towards the same place at high speed. Click! Fissures began to appear where Garp had struck. Just not waiting for Garp to be happy. It will be back to normal soon. It's no use, Garp boy. If it's that simple, I'm not worthy of being called the king of the pot. I saw Paula in the pot said with a smile. Chapter 70, Take the Head of Admiral Zephyr. The valued Hisoka, hearing Paula's words, Garp laughed indifferently. Ha ha. Anyway, Whitebeard fought you for 2 days and 2 nights before you were defeated. If I just deal with you like this, that guy Whitebeard will be so ugly. After Garp finished speaking, he looked at the tortoise shell in front of him and thought about the information about Paula. The king of the pot, Paula, the owner of the pot fruit ability, the degree of development of his ability is shocking. Known as the invincible pot. When the king of the pot is inside the pot, the external defense is the greatest. When the king of the pot is outside the pot, the defensive power inside the pot is the greatest. That's why Garp doesn't want to be trapped by the king of the pot. If you go in and wait for the king of the pot to shrink the mouth of the pot, then he is the one in the urn. It can be said that the king of the pot is only good at defense and trapping people, but its lethality is not high. Of course, this low level refers to monsters of the Admiral level or very close to the Admiral level, when Garp and the king of the pot are in a stalemate. Admiral Zephyr also made a move. Just let Marine fight with the pirates on the other side like this, and there will be too many Marines killed in battle. He cannot tolerate this situation. Therefore, Admiral Zephyr immediately entered the battlefield after Garp. He didn't go to the opponent's monster to fight. Instead, he rushed into the pile of pirates and knocked down the criminals one by one. With the addition of Admiral Zephyr, Marine's morale was even worse. Start pressing the pirates to fight. The pirates fight on their own, and most of the time they think about themselves, completely ignoring the life and death of other pirates, and fight with hands tied. Coupled with Admiral Zephyr's leapfrog blow, the pirates were distracted. There is an urge to run away. Anyway, it would be nice to wait for others to finish beating yourself before enjoying the results. Hisoka on the warship looked at the fighting pirates showing signs of fleeing. He said with some compassion, "What a poor bunch." Then he looked at the many pirate prisoners of eternal hell and freezing hell behind him. "Guys, can you give them some confidence, can you?" Following Hisoka's voice fell. Immediately, many pirates on the warship agreed in unison. "No problem at all." "Haha, just wait for Hisoka-sama's words. We are all big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. How can we block so many people?" Admiral Zephyr, "If we fight together, I wonder if his head can be taken off. Now is the time to become famous. Let's go. Let's take Admiral's law-selecting head together if you are daring." Seeing the enthusiastic reactions of many pirates, Hisoka also began to laugh. "Then please, everyone," ripples spread from Hisoka's body, igniting the blood and hostility in the hearts of many pirates. At Hisoka's order, pirates from freezing hell and eternal hell rushed towards the battlefield like wolves hunting for food. More than 20 of these pirates are targeting the active Marine Admiral Zephyr. The movement here quickly attracted the attention of everyone on the battlefield. Ha ha ha! The monsters from freezing hell and eternal hell are finally willing to come out. Hee hee hee! At least they are all monsters with a bounty of hundreds of millions of Baileys. With them joining this time, there will be no problem. That's right. Those Marines are starting to get scared. Ha ha ha! Let's kill them together now. With the release of the pirates from freezing hell and eternal hell, the courage of the pirates immediately grew. Start backpressing Marine. On the Marine side, morale plummeted. More than 100 big pirates with a bounty of hundreds of millions of gold Bailey were dispatched together. This scene is truly majestic and chilling. Saw Marine's morale start to drop. Sengoku also began to inform the adjutant to start making arrangements. Dozens of Marine rear admirals also rushed down from various warships to join the battlefield. This scene also brought hope to the Marines, who began to cheer up again. The battlefield is like this, and the constant changes will keep pulling the morale of the soldiers. If there are no cards and nothing changes, then morale will drop again and again, because people always have to see hope to move forward. Kill. More intense, fighting sounds began to resound through the sky. On the occasion of fighting on the battlefield here, a few Marines are hiding in the dark corners of the warship and talking secretly with phone bugs. They are spies for various factions in the Marine. The situation here is very serious now and may even affect the pattern of the sea in the future. Therefore, many spies have to pass on the information at the risk of being discovered with the delivery of information here. Soon, some big forces have known the seriousness of the situation. Information began to spread crazily from the underground world to the big pirate. Impelled down, tens of thousands of prisoners escaped, and a large-scale war with Marine under the command of a man. This kind of news immediately captured the hearts of all the big forces. Hunter Hisoka began to be known to various forces again. I don't know how many levels the emphasis is on. They never expected the truth to be so. Marine launched so many large warships to fight so many impelled down criminals. And from the point of view of intelligence, he did not fall into a disadvantage. Admiral Sengoku, Admiral Zephyr, Marine Hero Garp, Kizuru, Akiji. Just listen to these Marines who appeared in the war, and you know the seriousness of the situation. After some big pirates like Kaido and Charlotte Linlin heard the news, they all wished they could jump directly from New World to Naval Headquarters and make a big fuss. So many high-level combat forces of Marine have been dispatched. Combined with the Kainu in New World, it can be said that today's Naval Headquarters is weaker than ever. There may be only one Marine marshal guarding. There will not be many Marines guarding at the same time. This situation is really the best time to capture Naval Headquarters. It's a pity that even if they want to see through it, it's useless. Their territory is very far away from Naval Headquarters, and it is simply not possible to arrive in a short time. This is also one of the reasons why Kong dared to send so many combat forces. The fall of Impel Down was so sudden that no one could react at all. Otherwise, if there were signs, those forces would have already started to act. And this was the only comfort for Marshal Kong. Chapter 71, Zephyr's Power. The Change of Impel Down Laugh. The whole battlefield is boiling and fighting. Everyone seemed to be red-eyed. Blood spattered and stained the ice red. From a distance, it looks like a red crystal. At this moment, more than 20 big pirates screamed and rushed towards Admiral Zephyr. Most of them are prisoners of eternal hell. Freezing hell also has, but relatively few. After all, most of them are quite self-aware. The pirates in freezing hell know exactly how bad their bodies are. That kind of bone-piercing weakness cannot be solved by eating a full meal or two. Except for those inmates who have just entered freezing hell, the others are far from their peak. With such strength, it is a bit too beautiful to want to take Admiral's head after all. 493. So the pirates of freezing hell carry out the so-called Admiral hunting operations very rarely. This side of the battlefield. At this time, Zephyr shuttled across the battlefield like a hurricane. Wherever it passes, the side of the pirates must fall. Seeing the passing of so many Marines, the anger made him hold back. Every blow must be accompanied by the fall of a pirate, within a few minutes of his participation in the battle. Thousands of enemies have been defeated. You must know that these are not rotten fish and shrimp. But in the face of Zephyr, no one had the power to fight back, and some fell down without even seeing anyone. He showed Admiral suppression to the fullest. If it weren't for the chaos on the battlefield and the need to take care of his own people, he could even do better. Because of this, Marine's morale is very high. It's just that more than 20 big pirates are now heading straight for Admiral Zephyr. Can he continue to be so tyrannical? Both Marines and pirates on the battlefield have doubts about this report. Ha! Admiral Zephyr, we are here to take your head. That's right, obediently. Let's catch him with bare hands. With an arrogant voice, there are more than 20 big pirates, and their bounties range from hundreds of millions to 500 million. In addition to the confidence in the number and bounty. The main thing is that Zephyr itself has no big name. Whether it's Admiral Sengoku or Marine Hero Garp, they all have great names. In contrast, many people don't even know exactly what famous record Ian Giannifa has. Now, Zephyr can't scare them with the little shrimps that sweep across the battlefield. At this time, Zephyr watched more than 24 big pirates coming together. There is no doubt that he was regarded as a soft persimmon. He has been serving as the chief instructor of the Marine Military Academy, and the warm atmosphere of the Marine Military Academy seems to have sapped his sharpness. Now, even these pirates have begun to despise him. This feeling has really led his long-lost anger. In fact, it was just contempt, and Zephyr didn't care at all. But these were not the main source of the wailing of the Marines, which was the source of his mood swings. And now the contempt of the pirates is the fuse. Clatter. The tall figure of Zephyr faced the pirates. He said so to the pirates. Pirates, let me show you what Marine Admiral is. The mighty armament haki surged from his wrist. Just for a moment, the heads of the two big pirates were firmly held by each hand. Boom! Only a loud bang was heard. The heads of the two people were directly pressed against the ice. Two huge shock waves surged from Zephyr's hands. The two big pirates were directly dizzy on the spot, and blood began to flow from the five sense organs. Both pirates are prisoners of eternal hell. The bounties offered are more than 200 million Baileys, and they have achieved a lot of prestige in New World. Now, was directly killed in seconds. So strong. Admiral is really not easy. Let's do it together. Seeing this scene, one of the sky pirates said immediately, "That's right, today is the time to become famous. I don't believe he can put us all to the ground." As the two fanatics began to charge, the other big pirates, who were frightened, also rushed forward hesitantly. "Good time. Lie down here." Zephyr began to fight at full strength, and he wanted to kill all the big pirates who might slaughter Marine on the battlefield. The other side, Hisoka looked at Zephyr, who made a big kimui on the battlefield, and smiled. "Is it really okay?" At this moment, a voice rose from behind Hisoka. Shiryu came up behind him and turned his gaze to Impel Down. Hisoka understood what he said. "Of course it doesn't matter. Isn't it more fun this way?" Impel Down. At this time, Crane and Akiji have sneaked into Impel Down, under the power of Crane and under the force of Akiji. Riots had impelled down. The riots on the ground floor were quickly quelled. "Damn it, I can't spare that guy Hisoka. How dare he hypnosis me?" At this moment, the warden of Impel Down slammed his hand on the table in the control room. He looked very angry, and the Crane next to him is calm. Head of Warden Essent, "This is not the time to be angry. What we need to do now is to quell the unrest and Impel Down and support the Marines outside." Hearing Crane's words, Essent took a deep breath and calmed down. It was the ability of the staff in front of him to wash the fruits that made him out of control. He thanked the Crane. "Staff Crane, thanks to you this time. Otherwise, I don't know how long it would take me to wake up." Crane nodded and immediately started making arrangements. Following Crane's arrangements, the ground floor began to operate rapidly. Divide all the remaining troops gathered into two parts. The Blue Gorilla and jailers led by He and Laupan 2.6 began to suppress the remaining sporadic chaos underground. Also removes hypnosis from some controlled people. Through the actions of Hisoka's control people, Crane quickly judged that Hisoka's method of controlling people was a power similar to hypnosis. Whether it is pure hypnosis or ability, this needs to be studied in the future. Now the most urgent task on Crane's side is to confirm the life and death of the director and deputy director of the large prison. Staff Crane, then my side has started to act. With the Crane nodding, Akiji started off immediately. Accompanying them were the remaining 3,000 Marines, the Warden and the Warden Beast he commanded. Chapter 72, it's a dangerous idea to be the world's strongest of the more than 8,000 Marines originally stationed in Impel Down. Only 3,000 remain, and many of them were injured. This situation is already extremely tragic. Now I have to go to the battlefield again. The morale of these Marines is really not high. It's just that the one-step Crane here thinks it is necessary. There are not many Marines here, and they're not as elite as Naval Headquarters. But they can improve the morale of the Marine on the battlefield. The current situation is not optimistic. Crane needs to do everything possible to increase the winning rate, so it can only be wrong by these Marines. Clatter. On the first ship, as the war progressed, a figure stepped forward past Hisoka. The target is directed at Marine Admiral Sengoku. He is Bullet, the descendant of the devil. Seeing him bursting out without saying a word, Hisoka behind him couldn't help but licked his lips and laughed. There are so many fruits in this big prison, so attractive. Sure enough, they shouldn't be allowed to wither in a dark corner. It's the descendant of the Demon 02 Bullet. It's him, the monster crew on the one-piece ship, with the Bullet heading straight for Sengoku. The lieutenants and vice admirals next to Sengoku also recognized that figure. Once destroyed the country by himself, the monster crew of One Piece, it is rumored that even Pluton Rayleigh, the deputy captain of the Roger Pirates, can only fight him. Watch this monster charge straight towards Sengoku Admiral. Several vice admirals immediately stood in front of Sengoku. They stay here. It is to block those big pirates charging towards Sengoku Admiral. The enemy's admiral did not end. If Sengoku, admiral, as the commander of the fleet, would end like this, there is no doubt that it will have a great impact on Marines' morale. Go away. Even with a few vice admirals standing in front of them, it doesn't help. They were directly hammered out by bullet one by one. Look at the figure standing on the ice looking at himself. Sengoku couldn't help but sigh. I can't help it. I can't do it without shooting. This guy is no longer the fan towel that these vice admirals can block. And now there is no suitable combat power around him to block him. Seriously, can't that Garp guy save some time? Looking at the constant bombardment of the King of Pots in the distance, Garp had a great time playing. Sengoku just feels tired. He explained to the adjutant next to him. Then go forward. Pulling the cloak of justice on his body, the aura of the whole person suddenly changed. The situation is urgent now. He needs to concentrate on getting rid of the guy in front of him quickly. Seeing Sengoku jumping down in front of him, the corners of Bullet's mouth parted and he smiled. Sengoku Admiral, I haven't seen you in 2 years. Let me show you what I have achieved now. Looking at Bullet exuding a frenzied aura in front of him, Sengoku couldn't help but feel a little dignified. 2 years ago, Bullet went wild in the sea. He and Garp lead Buster Call to crush him directly. Unexpectedly, in just 2 years, this monster came out like this. It's all that man. Bullet, why do you obey Hisoka's embarrassing order? At this point, Sengoku couldn't help but want to ask for information. That's ugly. We're just working together. Hearing Bullet's answer, Sengoku felt a lot more at ease. Sure enough, it was impossible for the impelled down guys to gather under one person so easily. It must have been through transactions or the like that they were briefly condensed. After this war, I am afraid that it will fall apart. Even so, you won't be a man who obediently obeys others. What are you thinking? Bullet. Hearing Sengoku's questioning, Bullet's smile became wilder. That man said that he would accomplish a feat comparable to or even surpass Roger's. And then I would shoot him down and become the strongest in the world. Boom. Following Bullet's voice fell. A Shura-like aura was released from Bullet, and Sengoku's Conqueror's Haki also broke out. The two strands of Haki do not give in to each other. The atmosphere seemed to be shaking. The collision in the illusory field of the spiritual will make certain particles in the atmosphere start to escape. Thunder and lightning kept splitting and rising in the void. The entire battlefield was suddenly hit by Conqueror's Haki. If it is an ordinary Conqueror's, very few will fall with the general strength present. However, Marine Admiral Sengoku and Devil's Descendant Bullet, their conquerors are not comparable to ordinary people. Therefore, the personnel of the entire battlefield fell a lot close to Sengoku and the others. But Sengoku had to fight this time. Only then would the focus of the man's Conqueror's Haki be on his side against him. This will effectively reduce the impact of other directions. That Sengoku guy, Bullet. Sengoku's confrontation with Bullet's Haki immediately attracted the attention of the entire field. So is Garp, naturally. He looked back at the King of the Pot again, although his face was still smiling. But if you look closely, you can see a little sweat on his forehead. 967 King of the Pot. It seems that you are not so easy. Now that Sengoku has taken action, I will go all out to kill you. Hearing Garp's words, the King of the Pot could not help but sigh. Getting old. Tom does not forgive, and still in that damn place of eternal hell for nearly 20 years. His physical fitness has declined too much, and he can no longer compare with the past. Come on, Gar boy, let me see how strong you are on the battlefield. It's Sengoku Admiral who made the shot, and that monster, Devil's Descendant Bullet. It's such a strong oppression. I feel like my body is starting to lose strength. This kind of oppression is like ghosts and gods. It's spectacular. Is this the top monster of the sea? Many Marines and pirates watched the confrontation between Sengoku and Bullet Haki and couldn't help being shocked. Boom, like a bubble bursting. Their conqueror's Haki confrontation also stopped. Is that so? What a dangerous idea. Sengoku looked past Bullet at Hisoka in the distance. That man had such dangerous thoughts. What is he trying to do? Chapter 73 Long Lost Meeting. I am here to protect you at this point. Sengoku was not in the mood to ask again. Devil form, apparently Bullet on the opposite side, was not in the mood to answer. Call out. Just for a moment. The two collided together. Rumble. A huge shock wave spread towards the surrounding area. Large pieces of broken ice swept out from the center of the battle between the two. People who were nearer to them and fainted by Conqueror's haki were also blown away by the shockwave. The scene looks magnificent. Buzz buzz. The warship that Sengoku had been on before was also buzzing from the shockwave because it was too close. Fortunately, as Sengoku Admiral's warship, its quality is still hard enough, and it has not been destroyed all at once. On the warship, Sengoku's adjutant used his hands to block the gust of wind caused by the sweeping impact. Fortunately, on the warship, it was a blind spot of the impact, otherwise he might be blown away. He clutched a special phone bug tightly in his hand. That's the phone bug that contacts world government people. Not so long ago, people from the world government have already contacted CPO, and 2 teams have already been dispatched there. Ships have been abandoned and rushed over the ice. It will take some time to arrive. Then it's time to wait. Hope those CPO can change the situation of the battle. The adjutant thought silently. Clatter. With the sound of dense footsteps, thousands of Marines came in the direction of Impelled Down. At the same time, there was the sound of footsteps of the jailer beast. Immediately, many people noticed them on the battlefield. There is support. It is the support from Impelled Down. Great. Really good. With their support, our chances of winning are greatly increased. With the Marines on the Impelled Down side come out. Seeing hope, Marines' morale began to rise again, and they fought harder. Regardless of the per capita combat power on the Impelled Down side, at least 3,000 Marines ran over a certain distance, and it looked spectacular. This scene also gave Marine a reassurance. Follow the Marine from Impel Down to outflank. The pirates on the battlefield are also a little panicked, especially when they see a few jailer beasts. These jailer beasts have a shadow on their psychology. It's just that they have been made dumplings and can only bite the bullet and fight. Ice Cube 2 Thorn Spear, a figure floated in midair. Several triangular ice forks shot straight at Hisoka on the lead ship. Hey, what a long-lost reunion. Akiji Kazan, Hisoka said with a smile. Several triangular ice forks also directly passed through Hisoka's figure and pierced into the bow of the warship. Card wipe. Ice spread out from several triangular ice forks on the ground. In an instant, most of the bow of the ship was frozen. Hey. This ice is really cool. It just cools down my restless heart. Hisoka sat casually cross-legged in the icy area of the bow and said with a satisfied face, Hiso, UBD. Akiji, who was in midair, looked at Hisoka like that and became firmer in his heart. It was because of him that Hisoka made Impel Down fall. Even if Garp comforts him, he can't let go of this. All he could do now was grab Hisoka again. He stalled in midair, then a moonwalk. Puck, several ice cubes, like cold currents, surged towards Hisoka's position. It even enveloped the monster not far away from him. Bang, bang, bang. With a violent sound sounded, I saw a figure shattering the surging cold current at an extremely fast speed. Young man, it's hard for me to pretend not to see you attacking indiscriminately like this. I saw an old man with white hair, but still looking muscular, standing in front of Hisoka. His hair was loose, and he had a bright smile on his face. Bad news, Phil Osman, looking at the man who appeared in front of Hisoka. Akiji couldn't help but get serious. In fact, he doesn't know much about this pirate, but when he came here, Crane had already told him about it. The bad news is Phil Osman, who is also a pirate in the Rocks period. He is older than the king of the pot. It's almost 80 years old, looking at the muscles in his body. It's hard to imagine that he can maintain this kind of shape at such an advanced age in a place like Impel Down. Come on, let me play with you. Phil Osman jumped directly towards the ice in the distance and fell. Seeing Phil Osman's invitation to fight, Akiji dare not neglect. As Akiji and Phil Osman start fighting, Hiso, you die for me. After a man commanded Jailerman to go to the battlefield, he rushed directly towards the warship where Hisoka was alone. Several iron thorns went straight towards Hisoka. when I saw Shiryu holding the knife and knocking down the iron spikes directly. Its accent. I didn't expect to see him again so soon. Shiryu looked down at Izante with a big cigarette in his mouth and said, Shiryu, you follow these criminals? Are you a traitor? A sense of tension was on Hisoka just now. Unexpectedly, the deputy warden of Impel Down is standing in front of him now. He couldn't help being surprised. Nothing strange, just do it if you think about it. Oomph. Since this is the case, I won't show mercy. Dare to stand in front of this guy. Then be prepared to die. The two of them didn't talk more than half a sentence. The battle mode was directly activated, and Hisoka looked at sitting on the ice at the bow of the boat and listened to the continuous fighting, and he was also full of smiles. And there are not many people left on this warship, Kian Wong's. Lonely Red Redfield, World Destroyer Waldo, ex-Shichibukai, Gecko Moria. The others have already been dispatched. Waldo, why don't you go up and try? Hearing Hisoka's sudden question, Waldo's expression changed, and he laughed loudly. I'm here to protect you now. Otherwise, wouldn't it be troublesome if someone with no eyes came over? Really? You are so sweet. Ha ha ha. Hearing Hisoka's words, Waldo laughed awkwardly. He is still not good at lying, but the people around him don't treat him as a companion, so he doesn't want to risk his life. He has made up his mind. As long as no one comes to attack him, he'll just stay here until the war is over. Chapter 74, The King of the Pot's Defeat. Waldo's anger when a loud and crisp sound resounded through the sky. In the field of Garp and the King of the Pot, Garp finally went all out. The powerful bombardment and the white pot enveloping the King of the Pot produced a huge sound that resounded through the sky. The movement here has attracted the attention of many people. Click, click, click. The pot under Garp's fist began to burst with dense cracks. At the same time, the huge shock wave slanted out toward the surroundings. The ice cubes around tens of meters shattered and flew up. The attack power is unimaginably powerful. Garp boy, is this what you rely on? Looking at the densely packed cracked pot, Wang Zhong's face turned pale. The cracks in the pot are back together. It's just that Garp's attack just now was on the verge of breaking the pot. Even the original Whitebeard has not achieved this kind of attack power. As long as this critical point is reached, I'm afraid he can't keep up with the speed of recovering the cracks in the kettle. At that time, it will take time for the kettle to condense again after being broken. It's up to Garp to give him time. Haha, I didn't expect it to be broken directly. Your defense is really strong. But my fist is harder than Whitebeard back then. Well, here I go. I saw that Garp started to bombard the pottery that had been restored to its original state with his fists. It looks unremarkable. However, Garp Taijutsu, Armament Haki 300, and Conqueror's Haki have been smelted to achieve the ultimate balance posture. When fist hit the kettle, this time, Garp did not leave at the touch of a button, but forcefully pressed against the surface of the pot. Click! The cracks on the pot kept extending and then repaired. The two are in a stalemate. Boom! The huge shock wave blasted towards the surrounding area, even worse than before. Many people were directly thrown out. The cracks under the 100-meter ice surface around the confrontation between the two began to extend deeper and deeper. Crash! Only a crackling sound was heard. The pot of the king in the pot was directly broken. Oops! Directly in the pot. Wang Baola's eyes suddenly widened, reaching out to reunite. Ha! Defeat me. Garp laughed loudly and waved his sandbag-sized fist towards the King of Pots. At this time, the King of the Pot could not help but despair. He is strong in physical fitness and ability, but both Haki and Taijutsu are not above the standard. Now, with the decline of his physical fitness plus the current consumption, after being hit by Garp, it may be difficult to stand up again. The surrounding area is full of pirates and marines. There are no real companions. Falling here means the end. Boom! The huge impacts spread out again. The clouds in the sky are directly broken. The 100-meter ice surface finally couldn't bear it and collapsed. The sea water rises from under the ice, and the broken ice also falls with it. Hisoka's lead ship also landed in the sea again because it was within 100 meters. Clatter! Two figures fell on the surrounding large ice floes. Red Earl Redfield, I didn't expect you to make a move. Looking at the person in front of him, Garp couldn't help but feel a headache. This guy is too troublesome to solve. King of the Pot, Paula, I'll take over this guy from now on. Hearing what Redfield said, the King of the Pot, standing not far away, nodded. It could be said that Redfield saved him just now, so naturally he would not refute anything. Hey, old now, times are different. The King of the Pot was a little lonely, and then used Moonwalk to fly towards the warship not far away. Watching the King of Pots leave, Redfield turned his attention to Garp. Garp, come and show me your calendar. Hearing Redfield's words, Garp always felt that there was something in his words. It's just that he captured Redfield when he was weak, and it's normal to be unconvinced. Haha, Redfield, I never thought we would meet again. In that case, come on, Boom. A legendary pirate and a legendary marine have started a formal collision. Clatter. Follow the sound of footsteps. A group of people in special clothes ran quickly on the ice and entered the border of the battlefield. A total of 12 people. The main body wears a white suit and cape and masks of various shapes. They're the strongest cipher, POLCP-0 of the world government. It seems that the situation is really not optimistic. Then the first plan is to take down the culprit of this incident first. One of the two captains headed by them said, "Now, there are pirates staying beside him. We need to make a plan, and it's best to let Marine cooperate." While discussing countermeasures here, Valdo next to Hisoka saw the group of guys wandering around the edge of the battlefield at a glance. The minion of the world government, the world's strongest cipher Pyolpo, it was CPO's conspiracy that made him enter Impel down. His crew cadres all betrayed too. See these guys at this point. Waldo could only feel his blood rushing straight to the top of his head. Without saying a word, he rushed over using Moonwalk. Doubling 30 times speed, in just an instant, Waldo flew over there. This guy looks very angry. Is there a sad past? Hisoka narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Waldo, who was going away. On the other side, CP0, who was discussing countermeasures, began to feel something was wrong. I saw a figure appearing in midair. Double multiplier 100 times gun. I saw a bullet hit them. Then it expands into a huge shell. Boom! Blast a hole directly in the ice. Except for a CP0 dodge that was not affected in time. Everyone else is fine. It's World Destroyer Valder. It turned out to be him. Okay. Let's work together to get rid of him first. The captains of the two CPO teams looked at each other. Start beating Waldo. As CPO, their espionage capabilities are the most professional. But the strength is obviously not bad. The minimum has the level of strength of the old Marine Rear Admiral. If converted into New World's pirate bounty, it would be more than 200 million Bailey's bounty. Most are at the level of Marine Vice Admiral and Elite Vice Admiral. One of these two teams has 8 people and the other has 4 people. One of the teams was originally 6 people, but due to the robbery of Celestial Dragon some time ago, they accepted the remaining 2 people in the incident. The other 4-member team tends to be more powerful. Their captain is the most powerful presence in this support, possessing strength beyond the elite Vice Admiral. In so many strengths, it is hard enough, coupled with precise cooperation and the lack of intelligence of the other party. They don't think it will be too difficult to defeat Waldo in front of them. Chapter 75, your attitude is not correct. Death sickle flow, profound, meaning the clock is ticking. Hisoka sat on the bow and watched the war in front of him leisurely. Now the war is brutal. The entire battlefield fell into a low state. On the battlefield, Marine Admiral Zephyr was swinging a big man with a sledgehammer into the ice. He was directly smashed until he vomited blood. Zephyr had been brilliant on the battlefield before. More than 20 big pirates were beaten by him like babies. Finally, other Infinity Hell people think no. More than 20 pirates stepped forward to attack Zephyr together, and at the same time cooperated to effectively share the damage. Some also have strange abilities. Among them, the bounty of the strongest pirate has reached more than 700 million. It can be regarded as very powerful. Under the siege of so many big pirates, Zephyr does his part. Against these guys, he still doesn't fall behind. Still a CBN, only with their cooperation. He can no longer perform quick spike kills. In a stalemate, this can't help but make Zephyr feel a little frustrated. He doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, so he doesn't have dominant suppression. And his own arm color is not as good as before. When did it start? Probably when his family was being killed by pirates. The violent conflict between his principles and his emotions makes him no longer the steadfast Marine Admiral. Armament Haki, its influence factors are various. Physical fitness, strength, and will all affect Armament Haki. As for Zephyr, pain and comfort are eroding him. He may not be able to go back to the past. Boom! Sengoku and Bullet clashed again. The shockwave spread again, and the hurricane and ice blocks flew up wantonly. Admiral Sengoku, you can't do it. Use your full strength. At this moment, Bullet frantically attacked Sengoku. And Sengoku hit back too. Boom! In the end, Bullet was directly knocked out. It's just that he quickly adjusted his body shape in midair and continued to attack Sengoku. Sengoku looked at Bullet with a headache. Bullet's physique and strength are formidable, paired with his mighty armament Haki. It is very difficult for him to effectively seriously injure Bullet in a short time, unless he uses Conqueror's Haki frequently. But Sengoku dare not use it. The reason is simple. Bullet's Conqueror's Haki has reached breaking point. As for Conqueror's Haki, this technique only needs to be figured out by him. There are many probabilities that he will learn. He couldn't help but think of the monster with two faces Su knew awe. Just catch him a Conqueror's Haki to realize this technique. If only the Bullet in front of him also learned it, then the consequences will be very troublesome. Hey, what a hassle. At this point, Sengoku could only bite the Bullet and fight Bullet. On the warship, Hisoka looked at Waldo's besieged look in the distance. I couldn't help laughing. It was very interesting to watch him use his speed to escape and then counterkill Hisoka. Hey, hee. You're such a bad guy. Moria looked at Hisoka's perspective. Immediately, he noticed Waldo's distressed appearance. Can't help mocking Hisoka. In this case, why don't you go and save him? Maybe he will thank you. Hey, hee. That guy doesn't look like a guy who will repay a favor. Maybe he will attack me too. Moria immediately said that she was not so naive. Now the war has reached a point of balance. It saves effort. Moria doesn't want to move either. War is cruel. Seeing the life passing away before his eyes, Hisoka lowered his face slightly and said something that surprised Moria. Hey, hee. It's so funny. Isn't this what you set off? I didn't expect you to say such a thing. Moria couldn't help laughing a little. In his opinion, Hisoka should be praising the beauty of war, which is in line with his style. It is really incomprehensible to say that war is cruel after doing such a thing. Man is a creature with possibilities. It is such a pity to wither like this. It should be done slowly one by one. Hisoka ignored Moria's taunt but murmured. Moria shook his head. He didn't understand Hisoka's brain circuit. And he didn't want to. He has made up his mind to get back together, enter the new world, and take Kaido's head. This was the agreement at the time. When? Not enough. Not enough. Not at all on a battlefield. The two figures collided at high speed. Their speed makes them invisible to others around them. I just feel a voice lingering in my ears. It was Kizaru Palyasolino and Gabai the Scythe of Despair who were fighting. At this time, Gabi kept yelling, "How long are you going to use this low-level swordsmanship?" Hearing Gabaijuo taunting himself while fighting back with him, Kizaru appeared to be very innocent. His swordsmanship is like this, even if Gabai calls it again. Kizaru said he couldn't help himself. It's terrible. Can you take a break? I'm so tired. Hearing Kizaru's words, Gabeso suddenly felt a little angry, and he shouted, "Your attitude is very improper. It seems that it is necessary for you to understand what is real swordsmanship." Gabeso's words made Kizaru feel a little bad. He really wants to say that he doesn't follow the path of a swordsman, so he really doesn't need to show it to him. It's just that he hasn't had time to say anything yet. Gabeso's aura became extremely cohesive. Let's see my sword skills." No need. He just wants to rest. At this moment, Kizaru began to complain in his heart, but the mind also began to gather together. He can feel that the next move is not very easy to take. Under Kizaru's solemn gaze, Gabiso wields a huge scythe with both hands. The strength of the whole body, haki, is condensed on the blade, and the will that seems to cut everything in the world. In just a split second, it leaps towards Kizuru. The knife flashed across. Death scythe flow mystery hookup, scythe, slash star boom. A huge knife light spread across the sky behind Kizuru, like ripples in water. It looks magnificent and beautiful. Chapter 76, The End of the War. Sengoku's interrogation laugh. A huge crack appeared on Kizuru's chest. Blood started to gush. Kizuru also started falling from the sky. Boom! Kizuru Vice Admiral. Kizuru Vice Admiral is defeated. The movement caused by Gabiso's powerful swordsmanship also attracted people on the battlefield. So they also saw the scene where Kizaru fell. So they started exclaiming. The other pirates were very excited. The Scythe of Despair is one of Eternal Hell's top monsters after all. As long as he has an empty hand to join the battlefield, then the odds will be tilted towards them. Did Paulicelino lose? Sengoku, who confronted Bullet, couldn't help but dignified. It would be bad if that guy joined the battlefield. It's so boring. Watch Kizaru fall towards the ice. Gabi shook his head and did not join the battlefield as everyone wished. Instead, he jumped back to Hisoka's side. This disappointed the pirates. 177, and Marine also began to rejoice. Suddenly, the expressions of several people on the entire battlefield changed. This is, all Marines are returned to warships. The situation is urgent. Hurry up. Garb could only be heard shouting loudly towards the entire battlefield. The huge voice directly overwhelmed the fighting sound of the entire battlefield. The entire battlefield could not help but come to a standstill. The Marines couldn't help being taken aback, a little confused. And Sengoku also shouted, "Stop standing still. Feel the action. Giant sea kings are coming." Hearing Sengoku's words, everyone woke up like a dream. Clatter. Everyone scattered and ran towards the warship. Not only Marine is like this, even the pirates who escaped from prison are like this. Giant sea kings. Those who can deserve this title are at least sea kings over 1,000 meters. They almost forgot. They are now practically at war over the Sea King's lair. Now the Sea Kings can endure for so long is unexpected. With Sengoku, their voices fell. The fastest mover was Kizuru, who was lying dead on the ice. I saw him directly turning into a flash of light. Under the astonished eyes of everyone, he came to the warship in an instant. It was as if the exaggerated wound on his body was a decoration. It's just that they don't have time to say anything now. Now life-saving is the most important thing. Speed is life. At this time, the personnel on the battlefield began to separate. Akiji, who originally had the bad news with Phil Osman, also quickly retreated to the Marines' warship, looking at the surrounding ice that began to break violently. Sengoku, who had already arrived on the warship, changed his face. The Marines' retreat speed is not enough. Store! Hearing Sengoku's shout, Akiji also understood what Sengoku said. He pressed his hand to the ice. The astonishing cold began to extend down through the ice. Freeze the current that is about to soar into the sky in the marine area and the Sea Kings below it. Start making time for Marines' retreat. Boom! That's the Sea Kings pounding the ice above their heads. Click! Marine can still take a buffer here. But Hisoka has no room for buffering. However, the monsters, some Eternal Hell Masters, and some lucky ones have also retreated to Hisoka's warship. But there is a question whether the temple-shaped Sea Kings can withstand the shock of electricity and currents. One question, when some people start to worry. A huge pot directly wrapped the warship where Hisoka was located. It was Wang Baola, who was next to Hisoka, who made the move. Wait, I haven't gone up yet. Open it quickly. When someone jumped onto Hisoka's warship, he bumped into a bag. But he didn't pay attention to such trivial matters, but kept knocking on the surface of the pot. It's a pity that the king of the pot ignored it. Wow. Under the despair of him and many pirates behind him, the Sea Kings are out, like a majestic mountain peak. Super Sea Kings over 5,000 meters broke through the ice directly. Not one, but several, and many small...
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.